Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
Welcome back to another episode of the Paperweights. I'm Brandon.
I'm Chris.
And just like that, my headphones started messing up, so I'm going to have to reconnect them. But just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Mudcat Whiskers. You can head on over to their website. They sell beard care products. They got beard wash, conditioner, oil, butter, balm, and hey, for the ladies, if your husband or your man is going on a long trip and you really love the scent of his beard oil, they even sell soy candles with wood wicks in all of the oil scents so that you can burn a candle and smell your man's beard while he's not there. So head on over to mudcatwhiskers.com, use code paperweights at checkout to save yourself some money. Let me go ahead and reconnect these headphones real quick. Chris, you can talk. Stop doing that.
Okay, I'll stop doing that. I'll actually talk and not fake talk. Now, I am excited for today's chapters because, believe it or not, I have more opinions about quite a few things, especially one chapter that references chapter 2, which I have more to say about. That chapter of Snape doing well, not necessarily the unbreakable vow, the whole let me explain why I'm evil and how that did not need to happen.
So you're talking about
chapter 2, the unbreakable vow.
Yeah, you're talking about chapter 2, but I came in where you were talking about a chapter that references it. That was the one.
Oh, there's one coming up.
He hears Snape and
Malfoy
talking. So
if
I have Jules listen to this audiobook, I should cut that piece out too where he tells them.
No, that's fine. We'll get to that. We can start with chapter 11, but when we get there, I'll explain. I don't want to jump the gun, There are rules to this. Chapter orders.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, so Jules and I went out to New Orleans yesterday. So before we jump into the book, Jules and I went out to New Orleans yesterday, went to the zoo. I wanted to do the cool zoo, which is like a splash pad / water park inside the zoo, but she didn't want to. So we didn't do that. We did recreate afterwards. We did go to Dat Dog, a hot dog place, and we recreated a picture from 3 years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We got a good picture of Jules standing in front of a peacock that had its feathers all out. It started chasing her and rattling. I don't know if you ever seen a peacock with its feathers out, and when it's trying to warn you away, scare you away, it starts rattling. It's kind of it's almost scary. Like,
I mean, birds are scary. Birds are terrifying. They used to be dinosaurs. Like,
yeah,
have you ever seen an angry goose?
Yes.
I think it's gonna mess you up.
I always laugh whenever we're walking by geese and Jules is like, "Oh, I'm gonna chase them." I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna find out the hard way, and I'm gonna let you."
You mean they're gonna chase you, and you are gonna be terrified? That's what Alfred Hitchcock knew. That's why he made birds. He knew they were terrifying.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being at an ostrich farm when the bird attack happened? Like, they would just like destroy everything. They'd break through your brick walls of your house. They'd be like, "No, we're coming for you."
One day I'm gonna remember every time to start the timer right when we start. Yeah, so we're at 15 seconds on the timer now, but we've probably been talking
We've only
for
been talking for 15 seconds. That's it.
that's it.
That's what the
Nothing
timer
happened before.
says.
And so after the zoo, after lunch, went and visited my niece at her new apartment, and I get to the apartment and I'm like looking across the street. I'm like, there's a hotel across the street, and that hotel looks familiar. And I'm like, Christy did hair and makeup for a wedding party at that hotel. And like I remember this because she did the hair and makeup. I was in New Orleans around that time, and I met up with. So I went and worked out at some gym, went and got donuts at a donut place down in New Orleans that day, and then met up at that hotel, and we walked to the Irish Italian parade.
Oh,
And
nice.
so like that's why I remembered that hotel. And I was like,
Yeah.
my niece can look out of her window of her apartment and see that hotel. I'm like, okay, I know where we're at. This is interesting.
That's pretty cool.
And there is a house with a brick wall covering the entire like property that's for sale right next door to it. It's only $7 million. So
Oh,
I
that's
think
it?
yeah, I think I might
That's
just
a
buy it.
bargain, man.
I think I might just buy it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you got the loose change in your pocket, might as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've got those Jinko jeans. They're just
oh,
like
so you just got
stuff.
all the money.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Let's start with chapter 11. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's start with chapter 20 and work our way back. No, I'm just
Let's,
kidding.
we're going to memento this, guys. We're going to do 2011, 1912. We're going to confuse the crap out of y'all, but when we get to the middle, it'll make sense.
Yeah. Chapter 11, Hermione's Helping Hand. Oh, I will have to say, overall, and I forgot to make a note of this. Um, there's she's got a formula here where she's just like, all right, Harry Harry learns something, usually through Dumbledore showing him visions or memories, and then he goes back and tells Ron and Hermione, and then he tails Malfoy, and then he goes
Hmm?
learns some more stuff. He goes tells Ron and Hermione,
But don't
tails
forget,
Malfoy.
Ron and Hermione just have drama. It might be different kind of
Yes,
drama, but they always have a little drama. Whether
they're
it's
having a
him
lot
with
of drama.
his potions or them fighting each other or Quidditch stuff or something, they just have drama.
Yeah, so like the structure of this book is different than a whole lot of other books.
Yeah.
The way she tells it though, like for me, I can easily kind of forget that, oh, this is how the structure of the book is and how simple it is,
Yeah.
and I'm just going along. And I was also thinking about that same thing as I was reading this book. I'm like, okay, if I wasn't reading it for the podcast and like thinking about things to talk about, I would just be breezing through it and going, not really giving myself any time to sit and think and try to solve
Yeah.
something. Like I'm just like, oh, I am with these characters. I'm just shadowing them. I'm shadowing Harry and finding out all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is a cool ride. But yeah,
Yeah,
she
this
does. Go ahead.
I was gonna say this book has a lot of them just being teenagers and dealing with just high school drama stuff and stuff like that. And it's kind of like a lot of day in the life of them, like getting up, getting ready for, going to the Quidditch practice, trying to determine between these guys. This girl likes me, but this, like that, I mean? Like it's a lot of that, which is, it's nice, like it's not necessarily as far as the overall story of Harry Potter, it might be a footnote, but it's nice to see it, I guess that makes sense. It makes the characters more real, more rounded.
Right. And she does. There were times where it just like ended up in like she didn't transition them. It was just like this part in this location ended and then they're back in this place. I think the chapter I'm thinking of is when Christmas ended. And then like the
Yep.
next
Yep.
chapter, it
They're
was
just there.
they're just back at Hogwarts. There was no
Oh
traveling
no,
or
I want to get into
anything,
that. I want to get into that.
and we will. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, overall, I'm enjoying the book. It's very immersive, and it's not making me try to solve things.
Yeah.
Um, if it weren't for having to talk about it for the podcast. So, chapter 11, shall
Yes.
we?
We
Okay.
shall.
Let me get to the right chapter notes so we're not talking about the other minister again.
So I don't have nearly as much written here as I did on the previous ones, but I do have just a bunch of things like just line and question mark or line and like a circle.
That's fine.
So I'm gonna have to try to, but yeah. So maybe I'll talk less and maybe I'll talk more.
We shall see.
All right.
Maybe it'll be a 5 hour episode.
It might. It might be a 5 minute
Hope,
episode. Just be like, this is a good chapter. Next.
yeah. Hopefully it's not 5 hours.
No, no, I got things to do today. All right.
Yes. Hermione's helping hand. So Harry and Ron's new copy of Advanced Potion, yeah, making comes in. Holy shit. I forgot so much happens in these 10 chapters. I felt like we've already discussed this copy of Advanced Potions making.
Yeah, it goes from being like, all right, now like the previous chapter ends and it's like, all right, the school year has just began. And then like by the time this chapter or these 10 chapters in, it's like, yeah, they're getting ready to end. Like this is the
Yeah.
majority of the school year in these 10 chapters.
Yeah, so the new copies come in, and Harry casts Diffindo to make the new copy look old and Reparo on the Princess copy so that he can keep it.
Yes.
We find out that Stan Shunpike, who is the bus conductor we know from book 3 mostly in the night bus,
Mm-hmm.
was arrested on suspicion of being a Death Eater. Uh, some kids' parents have also taken them out of school for safety, which is weird in of itself because of all of the extra protections on Hogwarts. It seems like it
Yeah.
might be the safest place, but maybe not.
Maybe the parents are
Harry
Death Eaters and they're like, we're just gonna join them. Come on.
might be.
I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, if I was a wizard and I was of like at least half blood status, because it seems like you could be a Death Eater at half blood status. If I was either at least half blood status or full blood, and I really didn't have a full like allegiance one way or the other, but I had kids I was worried about, and I knew that if I just said, okay, just whatever, just don't hurt me, whatever, I'll take out my kid, we're just gonna do our own thing. And I was like, basically like, hey, you want money? Here's my money to the Death Eaters. And knowing my kids will be safe. If I saw people dying at Hogwarts, just random kids, I I I'm not saying I would do it, but I would definitely think about it. It wouldn't be off the table.
Yeah,
You
but
know
at this point they haven't, right?
that
No kid has
no,
died this year yet.
that's right. That's right. It has not. Nothing has
Not
happened yet.
until the next chapter. And even then,
Yes,
a kid does not die.
they don't. Let's keep going with this chapter.
So, um, Harry holds Quidditch tryouts.
Mm-hmm.
Ginny and Ron, they both make the team. Katie Bell is also back. She's like the only returning member of the team. Um, Next up, they visit Hagrid to talk about why they are not taking care of magical creatures. Hagrid informs them that Aragog is sick, and we start to see a soft emotional side of Hagrid here.
He's always had a chocolate nougat in her
Yeah,
being just a sweetness.
and we can discuss more of this. The last thing that happens in the chapter is Harry gets invited to Slughorn's party, but Slug isn't able to convince Snape to postpone his detention again. So he's like, "Hey, Harry, come to this party." He's like, "I can't because I have detention that I need to make up because Dumbledore got me out of it
Or
last week,
postponed
but I
it
have to."
once.
And Slughorn's like, "Oh, I'll talk to Snape, and surely he'll see and let you schedule." So, um, you have notes on any things? I do want to talk about Hagrid, but if you want to talk
Only thing I
about
want
anything
to
before,
The only thing I want to bring up right now is you mentioned at the end of the chapter the detention. I feel like typically, especially like the first detention of the year or something like that, or when it's just Harry after he does something really bad or he gets in trouble, it at least talks about the detention. But like it just straight up skipped to a few weeks later in the next chapter, just how you said, like sometimes like in these chapters you feel like, hey, they're at Christmas. Okay, now they're back at Hogwarts. Like this one was just like, hey, he's about to go to detention with Snape. Okay, it's weeks later.
yeah,
So that's just a jump. I have a few notes, but I'm down to listen to some Hagrid talk.
yeah. So before Hagrid, the tryouts kind of go crazy. We're starting to see Hermione do more and more things that are out of character. Um, like here, she cast a Confundus charm on McLagan.
No, 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 no. She cheats.
She does.
Let's not bat around the bush. Miss Goody Two Shoes Hermione Ranger cheats.
I picked an
The
awkward time.
shame. The shame.
I picked an awkward time to drink coffee.
I did too. I needed a sip. My mouth was just so dry with the shame.
Yeah, I do like that Harry picked up on it, like
Yes.
because he noticed that Hermione turned a very shade of pink. What were the words? Let's see. Oh, Ron stated, he said, "Did you see him lumbering off in the wrong direction on his fifth? It looked like he'd been confunded." And then Harry noticed that Hermione's face turned pink, and I'm like, "Hermione, you're not." And so this is like the
Reading it right now.
start. This is the start of in this book. I feel that Hermione is really showing Ron that I like you, like, um, or showing the reader rather,
Yeah. Showing the
more.
reader that these feelings are they're not just being, shipped by fanboys, but they're actually, you know,
Yeah.
real.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Um,
anyone that was like in book 5, like shipping them together, it's like, oh my God, they're totally gonna end up together. It's like, no, I don't think so. They're reading this chapter, and they're like, oh my God, right here, right here, right here.
yeah, this is the first time where it's like, oh look, I told you Hermione had feelings for Ron.
And don't worry, their suspicions are confirmed in the next few chapters.
Yes, and I,
Oof.
I I can't stand. We'll talk about McLagan later
Yeah.
on, but I can't stand McLagan.
Now
Uh,
he does have an awesome name though.
he
I just want to
does.
put that up there. Like
Now, do you say McLagan or do you say McLagan?
McLagan.
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 I could see Conor McGregor going McLagan.
Yeah.
All right,
Again.
so Hagrid, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really highlight anything here, but Hagrid is just, you know, when he's talking about Aragog, he gets so emotional. And he's just a big teddy
He's a big
bear.
softy.
Yeah, he is a big softy. And he's been spending time with Aragog. And but the reason for the visit is the kids want to tell
You mean he's been at his website?
I'm sorry guys, but this podcast has to end. Chris, Chris, go home to your other home.
Leave and go find somewhere else.
Yes,
The shame here is too great.
the house in the back. Go out there.
um,
They show up to assure Hagrid that Grubbly the reason, sorry, they show up to talk to him about why they're not in his class, and he's super upset, and they're like, no, it's definitely not because Grubbly Plank was a better teacher than you. Like,
no, they go
and,
to
and that wasn't
they,
necessarily, sorry, that wasn't
I'm sorry.
necessarily the reason why they stopped taking his class, but
Yeah,
his worry was that Grubbly Plank was a better teacher than him.
yeah.
And they lie to him and go, no, he's not a better teacher than you. Nobody's a better teacher than you.
I thought he wasn't a better teacher than them. They just didn't like the subject.
It- no, they believe he's a better teacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Where
Oh,
did I? Let's. I'm trying to find it.
doesn't matter. Either way, they go and lie to him. They say we just didn't have time, which is, but you know something?
Yeah.
Hagrid, I feel like gives that pretty easy because he doesn't have that many people to talk to there. There's three students who he thinks actually like trust him and likes what he does, and he's like molding these young minds. Last he spoke to them, they said, "Oh yeah, we'll see you tomorrow in your class." They don't show up, and then eventually they come out like weeks into it to come talk to you, and are just like don't show you that like he said, I'm a teacher, Harry. Like, don't treat him necessarily with the greatest respect, like blowing open his door and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then or threatening to. And they're just like, oh well, we're busy. He's just like, oh, okay, don't worry about it then. And I think part of that is just she can't have Hagrid mad at them, just story wise. There's not enough time to really fill it out. Man, you could play it off character wise because he's going through some stuff with his surrogate pet son dying.
Yeah, that's true. I found it here. So Hagrid's like, there's no way you could have done it. I'm sorry. I've just been worried about Aragog, and I did wonder whether if Professor Grubbly Plank had been teaching you, at which all three of them stated categorically and untruthfully that Professor Grubbly Plank, who
Ah,
had substituted for Hagrid a few times, was a dreadful teacher, with the result that by the time Hagrid waved them off the premises at dusk, he looked quite cheerful. So they're like, no, so Hagrid was about to say he felt that they thought Grubbly Plank was a better
yeah.
teaching. And they're like, no, he's not a better teacher. Like, he's horrible.
No, he's off.
But in
Uh,
reality, he is a good teacher. But he teaches the safe things. Like,
yeah.
Hagrid just does not choose the right things. Now, Hagrid's things.
Hey, the third years. You want to go against his crazy hippogriff things that like kill people? Come on, I'm gonna throw you on it, and he's gonna fly you up 100,000 feet in the air. You'll be great. Who needs a saddle?
Or the blast-ended scroots from book 4
Yeah,
that burn, bite, and sting, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
yeah, this is great.
What do these things do? I don't know. I just have them.
On the flip
Uh,
side, you'll be ready if you come across a bear in the woods after Hagrid. You're like,
very
this is
true.
easy. I ain't scared.
I do find it interesting that Hagrid is one of their favorite adults, but he's not a great teacher at all.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, he's not a great teacher. They don't find him out. They don't think he's a great teacher, but they like him. And it's just so interesting. Whereas like Professor Trelawney, she's not a great teacher.
and
Nobody likes her. They felt
Luna
sorry for.
does, but
Maybe. I mean, no, Lavender and Pavardi do because
yeah,
they like divination. But like for the most part, they don't like Trelawney. They just like they felt sorry for her when Umbridge was like canning her,
Yeah.
just because she was like, okay, she's not a great teacher, but she's just harmless and innocent, and she's not like
Yeah.
hurting anybody. It'd be like getting rid of or putting a an astrology teacher on blast. It's like
Yeah.
maybe what they're teaching is pseudoscience, but is it harming anybody?
Mm.
So, but yeah, that was it. So we can move on to
Yeah.
chapter 12.
One more comment I want to make. I hope in this universe, I hope Hagrid gets his Neville. The way Neville just got into herbology,
Her herbology
herbology,
or
and
herbology.
he just like became all about plants. I hope he finds like some kid that's just like, oh my god, these animals are awesome, and like takes every single class he can, and like you know all like offers donates his time to help Hagrid to just be around them more. Like he just finds his. I hope so. In my mind, that's canon. That like right now, there's like some third year that's really into it, and you know, after the books ends, that guy's just all about it.
I hope so too.
That's canon now because he's softy. He deserves that, and he's passionate about it too. All right, that's it. That's all I got.
Okay, chapter 12. I almost said chapter 2. Chapter
We can go
12.
back to chapter 2 because I got more to say.
Silver and opals.
Mm-hmm.
Harry starts to practice the spells that are written in the prince's book because he notices not only are there some notes on potions, but there's some little, hey, here's this little spell, and he thinks they're created by this half-blood prince. It's the funniest was the Levicorpus that he cast in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
That picked
That
Ron
is.
up from his bed. He's like, "Oh God, hey, like you could have just had a normal alarm if you wanted to wake me up."
Yeah.
But luckily, the counter spell was written in the book too.
Okay. Don't go casting random spells you find from books from people you don't know for sure who they are on your friends in the middle of the night. Bad. You should at least wait till they wake up, because if it's something like the Muffalo spell that makes it so they just don't hear, they can't tell you. It'll just be like Muffalo. I don't know what it does. Like.
I wonder
Plus,
what that
also, if
did.
you
It
kill
didn't
them,
do
if you kill
anything.
them, they should at least be awake and ready for it.
I'm gonna try this out on you. I don't know what it does. It could kill you.
But if you don't want me to, say no. And it's a shame you're asleep, so you can't say no. All right. Avada Kedavra. Oh, it did kill you.
Some of the other
Wait, I knew this spell.
some of the other spells, and I didn't highlight much, so we'll go over the other spells that he does. So there was one hex that caused toenails to grow alarmingly fast. He
Uh-huh.
tried and he did that one on Crab in the corridor with very entertaining results, he says. There's a jinx that glues the tongue to the roof of the mouth, which somebody uses later on in the book as well. He used
Mm.
this twice on an unsuspecting Filch, Mr. Filch. And then, like you already mentioned this one, Muffliato, a spell that filled the ears of anyone nearby with unidentifiable buzzing. So that lengthy conversations could be held in class without being overheard. So if he cast that one in the middle of the night, it would probably wake the person up and they'd be like, "What is all this noise?" And that's all they hear. They can't hear anything else.
Because like if I had that cast on me, it's not like I just don't hear what's around me. I all of a sudden I'm like, what's wrong with me?
Did a bomb go off?
But at the same time, like, I mean, you can track spells in a certain way. It's like I know which one does what. Like, be like, oh, obviously someone just did something to me. Let me like dispel myself, and now let me test y'all's wands. Oh, you just attacked me. Thank you. I'm taking your wand, and you're now in trouble, Harry.
But okay, who has the ability to track spells on wands?
It whoever needs it for story purposes. That's who.
And
But
is
I know
there
I
a
want to say they've done it at the school before. Tracked whose wand's done what. So
yeah, well, yes, they did it in book 4 when at the Quidditch World Cup because Harry's wand was taken by Barty Crouch,
oh
and a
yeah,
spell was cast with that wand. So, like, when a spell is cast, and they actually
they
address
know it.
that in this
Yeah,
book, they know that a spell is cast in a certain area. So, if they know if there's only one wizard in that area, they know the wizard that did it. If there's multiple people, they don't know who did it, then they have to go to the wand to figure out who cast the wand or who cast it with the wand.
like
But can you so the non-verbal ones, do you still have to do any hand motions with a wand, or is
if
it
you
just
pass your
gonna
sleight of hand check, you don't.
okay?
That's all I got. You probably do. If it has a semantic component, you have to do it. Even if you have, unless you have, if you use a sorcery point and use silent casting or quiet casting, you don't.
Okay. But are there
Yeah.
sorcerers? There are sorcerers because
There
there's
are
the
sorcerers.
sorcerer's
They're called
stone.
sorcerers. Yeah. In fact,
But are they
I,
different from wizards?
a wizard, at least in D&D terms, is a person who studies magic. You could say they have an innate ability that they can do it and they have to study or learn, and that's why they have a book, and that's how they kind of gain knowledge. A sorcerer does not do that. A sorcerer just has a raw ability.
Okay,
And
so
the mechanic, just the mechanic difference ends up being a wizard knows like 4 times more spells than a sorcerer, but a sorcerer can just do it.
so given that, and we know that house elves have their own special magic that and they're not wizards, are house elves sorcerers?
Yes, I'll go
They're
with
not
that.
wizards,
No, I'll go with their sorcerers.
and they
They're
don't
innately
need
magical. They widely vary. Yeah,
yeah, and they don't need to have they don't necessarily need a wand either
yeah.
to do any um magic. So, all right, what else is in this chapter? We have Hermione's feelings about the prince. So she does not like the prince and thinks that he might have been a Death Eater and keeps telling Harry, you cannot keep following the directions in this book. And Harry's like, no, no, this is great. This is great. And
It's
I'm
good.
the teacher's pet in this class. That I know what it
I,
feels like to be you, Hermione, and you are just jealous because you're always the one that's getting all the points.
he's right, but she's also right for the wrong
Yes,
reasons.
they are both correct.
Yeah, Hermione's only butthurt because she's not number one. That's the
Right.
only thing. I want to just point out that our hero of the story is fixated on one kid who's had a bad past and is very sure that he's still evil. It sounds like he's up to something, especially later on, and he might be evil, but he's just fixated on this, like tunnel visioned on Malfoy. He he has a book that he's using to cheat to get not to cheat, but also say, hey, look at all this praise and stuff like that. And he's casting hexes on people, even his enemies, to mess with them as a joke. And this is our hero. And you know something? That is so like something I know I would do as a 16-year-old.
So is he
Like,
chaotic neutral?
yeah, I
he's
think
definitely
he's
chaotic neutral
yeah.
with
Oh
a
yeah.
penchant for goodness or
It's rough,
empathy.
but yeah. Like I think he overall wants to do good, but yeah, he definitely doesn't mind fucking with those he doesn't like or messing with those he doesn't like. Yeah.
You didn't quite silence yourself. You
I, I
whispered
I realized that, and so I'm like, I'm trying to edit myself.
it.
My poor daughter. I try not to cuss around it, but she's gonna end up cussing. I know it at some point. She hasn't yet.
Jules Jules doesn't really, but she she will tell us to stop sometimes if we do. She's like, it's not a good thing to do. Like, okay.
Nora's not allowed to say hate because for a while there she was saying, I hate this, I hate this, I hate like everything she hated. And I was like, that's not a nice thing, you don't say that. So anytime I accidentally say it, like like I'm watching some LSU baseball game and bad call, and I'm just like, oh my God, I hate the refs. And she's like, Daddy, don't say that. It's not nice. Say you're sorry. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. You're right.
So the kids actually start to notice that Dumbledore has been absent more frequently this year, and they're like,
Mhm.
what is he going? What is he doing? Where is he going? And even in Harry's private lessons, he always asks Dumbledore, he's like, I will tell you later. I'm like,
I will tell you later. You
tell
need to
him
read more
now.
chapters, then I'll tell you.
Read and find out. She's
Read
Dumbledore
and find
says.
out. If you want to know now, turn to page 320. Page 320. Stop reading ahead. Go back. Oh.
Oh. Harry dodges another slug club,
Mm,
and
he's good at
then
that.
yeah. And what's his reasoning again for not wanting to show up to these
He just
things?
didn't like it. He felt awkward. Like I would have. It sounds like even Hermione describes it. It sounds like it's an okay place. Like yeah, you get this smoozing guy, but you also you get nice food. You get company around people like the people there mostly he likes, except for uh McCragen, McFlagan,
McLagan,
McLagan,
McFlagan.
McFlagan.
uh, they run into Mundungus in Hogsmeade, who's selling off stuff from the Black House, and Harry just loses it. He's like, "That's my stuff you're selling," and
Yeah,
Mundungus is like, "What?" Uh,
yeah.
when he tells Dumbledore, Dumbledore's like, "Oh, that guy, he needs to stop doing that."
Yeah, we know stopping him. Which
Then,
I can't remember if he. I hope something comes back from that because if not, it's just kind of like a meaningless little weird side story that's just really short. It doesn't go anywhere.
right,
But I
it
hope
could
something.
be serving to show that Mundungus hasn't changed. Like he's still shady and doing things. Um, but yeah, let's see. Then we get into the meat of this chapter and the reason why it's titled what it is. There
Hmm.
was something funny. Let's see here. Before that happens, when they're sitting, they're sitting in the three broomsticks, and Hermione is like, "Ron, what are you looking at?" "Nothing," said Ron, hastily looking away from the bar, but Harry knew he was trying to catch the eye of the curvy and attractive barmaid, Madame Rosmerta, for whom he had long nursed a soft spot. It's like Hermione is starting to get jealous of Ron.
Eyeballing.
My voice
Him.
came out. Yeah, eyeballing other, like noticing and having discovering the same feelings that Hermione is discovering in herself. She's like, wait, how dare he have feelings, start to have feelings for women? But I have feelings for him, and I'm just realizing these feelings as well. But he's the bad one. Like,
Well, I mean,
tell him, Hermione. Hey, hey, you redheaded idiot.
hey,
I like you.
guys are dumb. Like
but
you don't pick up signs nearly as well as people give us credit for.
also, so look, in high school, and I still don't even know the outcome, or I still don't know the true um intentions behind this, but like some chick flat out came up and said, "Hey, me and a couple of people are going to do this, and I want you to come because I like you." I'm like, I was like, "No, I don't think I'll go," because I was just suspicious at that point.
Yeah,
You know, all the times we're like, just tell us you like us, and then once you actually do, if you actually do, we're like, something is suspicious here.
this
Like,
is this
this
isn't
is
how it goes.
this is not a sign.
No. So
Like,
we want
hold
you to
my
tell
hand.
us without telling us because we can't read clues, but we need a clue that you're telling us, but not one that we cannot not interpret, but not one that's direct.
Yeah, too direct, not good.
Yes.
Not
Like
direct enough.
like we
We're
need like
like,
a
oh, that's weird.
puzzle. We need like a puzzle for like a 1-year-old. So it's still kind of like a puzzle, but we figure it out, eventually, like in a week. Like, oh my God. Like there was this back when I was working on Ducks. I was working in the production industry and there was this I don't want to say the story on the off chance that she hears it. I don't want to say the story, so never mind. Let's just say there was a girl who I spent an evening with who I really liked, and she chose to like after all the parties and everything, she chose to stay back at my place and like drink with me into the night. And I wanted to make a move, but I was like, in my mind, I'm like, but no, I don't think she likes me. And then like she left the next day and never came back. And like we all knew she was leaving. It was her going away party. And like the next day, I'm like, wait, no. She chose to spend the last hours before she left with me at my place. I'm an idiot. Oh my
Hey,
God.
I got one better. There was one time at LSU, I was hanging out, and it ended up just there was a whole lot of us, and then it ended up being me and one girl, and I didn't know much about her, but we were talking, and we got to talking about the cartoon Pirates of Darkwater. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I like that." And then I was like, "I have them all on my computer." And she goes, "Okay, we can go back to my dorm and watch them." And so like we went back to her dorm and I put them on, and she fell asleep in her bed, and I just left her dorm. I was like, "Oh, okay, you fell asleep, but you, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna leave." like, like,
I guess I'm.
maybe she did like me, but maybe she didn't really like Pirates of Darkwater.
You
We
The
shall
point,
never know.
the point of the story for any readers out there,
Young
that don't know,
readers.
guys, don't pick up clues.
Yeah.
We don't want to be told, but we can't pick up clues. So figure it out. I don't know.
Sorry, we are so off track here, but
Yes.
there's been two videos I saw recently. One was a plumber, and one was a car mechanic. But like the plumber came and goes, and both involve some chick that's like, huh, I don't like the plumber. She's like, maybe I can pay you in some other way. And the plumber's like, what, you mean like by check? Yeah, that's fine.
I've seen that. And
And it's like, or,
I got PayPal. Like, you want to Venmo me? Like,
it's like, well, since you fixed my pipes, maybe I can handle your pipes.
oh, are you a
Ma'am,
licensed plumber too?
ma'am, I do my own plumbing.
Which also could be a response to what she was trying to do to him.
Yes. So anyway,
So how about I fix your
back.
price, ma'am? All right, back to this. Let's go. Let's go.
So in
So,
Hogsmeade, Katie Bell was given a cursed locket.
mm,
And she was fighting with her friend Leanne. Um, and so she comes out, and of course I didn't highlight any of this, but uh like she runs out and she's almost it's almost like they're it's almost as if she feels Leanne is jealous that she got something, and they're just arguing. And then we find out that somehow there must have been a hole in the bag that the locket was in, and she brushed it, which took the curse, like ended up having the curse affect Katie. Harry tells, so she ends up being basically passing out in the middle of the street, and they bring her to the hospital wing,
Ends
I
up
think.
like floating in the air, screaming, and then
Yeah.
crumps to the ground and passes out, which is a little more dramatic than just boom.
Yes. Yes. I rely on the other person to have remembered a whole lot of the details. Thank you. I know.
You're
I
welcome.
seriously do.
Yeah.
Um, if
I
if I
love
remember
nitpicking.
if I remembered everything, then I wouldn't need another person to have a conversation with. I could
I mean,
just
you
sit
could
here
just
and
bounce off
talk.
it. You could have a mirror and you could just be like, hey, no, no, no. Well, what do you think? Well, also like,
I'll just have two outfits, and I'll record and put them side by side where I'm just having a
you
conversation.
you should have a pitch meeting about that.
No, that's not my thing.
It'll be super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, barely an inconvenience. So Harry
um,
tells McGonagall that he suspects it's Draco. He tells her about the incident at Borgin and Burke's, and then of course McGonagall comes back and says it could not have been Malfoy because Malfoy was in detention with me at that time, and he was in detention for not doing his transfiguration homework.
yeah.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about this? This is like the first attack of kind of anything. So far in the book, the only kind of opposition or tension that we've had with Harry is just suspecting Malfoy of
Yes.
doing something, but there's no evidence that anything has been done. And this is the first time that we have something quote unquote evil occur.
So I love this. This is good because it ties in the Brooke and Burke shop thing. It ties back to that because Hermione saw it there, had information like that. It messed with just the general setup of everything else because it took the Gryffindor Quidditch team because it messed with Kate Bell. It it also, you don't know who it was meant for, so there's all the suspicion about who it is. He can't prove it was Malfoy because Malfoy was for sure not there. It also established Malfoy wasn't at Hogsmeade while everyone else was, um, which in its own suspicion, like it creates all of this air of mystery while creating there is now a sense of true danger, and it may not even be Malfoy. Malfoy might be a red herring.
Right.
Like I think this is an example of like something well done. Like it it got across the feeling without, and it also created more intrigue while cementing that there is something to worry about.
Agree. Agree. Yeah, it definitely goes like we want to believe Harry that Malfoy is, we want to believe as just like Harry does that Malfoy is going to be doing something in this book.
Yeah,
And so we're like, when it first happens, we're like, oh, yep, it's Malfoy. Then it comes back, oh no, Malfoy wasn't even in Hogsmeade. There's an alibi. There's this like a professor who's on Harry's side, um, is stating, no, it was not because he was with me. It's like,
yeah,
and now we're like, hold on, what is going on here? There's something worse than what Malfoy was trying to do.
yeah. And then now
So,
there's all kinds of questions on who was it actually for? Was it for Dumbledore? Was it,
right. Was it
yeah,
for Harry?
yeah. Even though I agree that I don't know if it says here or not. The Harry said that. Oh, I think it was actually at the end of chapter 12 where he was like, "It couldn't have been for me because if so, she just would have turned around and handed it to me." And it also does beg the question, like, uh, Flinch, whatever, is checking everything that comes back in. So that would not have passed. So what was the person thinking doing it? And was it, like a lot of questions out there that need answers.
Yeah. And it couldn't have caught. So they also stated that it wasn't a very slick attack, really, when you stop to think about it, said Ron. Casually turning, casually turfing a first
Yeah.
year out of one of the
Yeah.
the curse didn't even make it into the castle, not what you'd call foolproof. Let's see. Oh,
By the way, I love that little thing because like all throughout the book, Ron is shoving first years and pushing them and like growling and grimacing or throwing them out of chairs and stuff. And Hermione's constantly being like, no, you get back up. I'm putting the first year back in here. I'm apologizing to the first year. I'm letting him know. Like, it's like, oh my God, I'm sorry for him. It's like, I know my husband could be a bit of a prat. Don't pay him attention. Like, it's okay. Stop
yeah.
being so mean to the little ones. Like it's adorable.
Chapter 13,
Chapter 13.
The
The
Secret Riddle.
secret riddle. More
What
more
is
lore. More of that
where
world building.
is that where oh yeah, yes it is. Okay, so Dumbledore now returns and still refuses to tell Harry what he's been doing and what happened to his hand. He already knows about Mundungus stealing things. So
Wait,
even before Harry told him, I'm waiting. Bueller,
Bueller.
Bueller, Bueller. What am I
Bueller.
waiting for? What are we waiting for?
Actually, nothing. Ignore me. I don't think it's come up yet. There was a note I had that I really wanted to talk about that I thought I forgot, but I don't think it's happened yet.
Okay, we will be
It's
sure to
just
forget about it forever and not
sounds
discuss it.
good.
That thing, those types of things happen anyway.
Yes.
All right, so even before Harry is able to tell Dumbledore anything, he already knew about Mundungus and Katie Bell. Let's see. The first memory we go into here is do we have oh yeah, we have two memories in this chapter. We
Mm-hmm.
have two memories later on too.
Yep.
I think the next two lessons there are two memories, maybe. I know the last one there's two memories. Chapter 17, there's at least
There's
one.
two memories twice.
Okay. And so chapter 17 is going to be one memory. The one with the chapter with Slughorn's memory is one. So we go into the memory of
I think it's twice.
Caractacus Burke, which is one half of Morgan and Burke, the shop owners. We find out that Merope went and sold her locket to him for 10 galleons.
Yes.
And she decided to stop doing magic after Tom left her. The next memory in the chapter is Dumbledore's when he first met Tom Riddle to invite him to Hogwarts. So he goes, the memory is where he goes to the orphanage to tell Tom Riddle that, hey, you are a wizard and we want to invite you to Hogwarts. Do you have opinions about this story, about this chapter? I really do like it.
So before I get into my opinions, I want to discuss something that I started thinking about while reading it. I want you to think about when you remember your dreams or your memories. Sorry, your memories, not your dreams, your memories. Do you remember yourself in third person? What you looked like, what you were wearing, what your back looked like, what things around you necessarily like beyond your normal field of vision, like this area behind you looked like. Because somehow, and if I pull my memory out, you could see what I was wearing fully. Like, I don't like it's weird to me now thinking about it that my memory would be in third person, not first person.
Yeah, that is kind of strange.
Yeah, I thought about it when it was like it was like Dumbledore standing next to Dumbledore. I was like, wait a minute, why would they be seeing themselves? Like you should be seeing first person. And you're just like almost viewing it together, like Mystery Science 3000 kind of thing, where you're just like laid up, like watching it on the screen, like, oh, remember this? Or this part, this is important. So
Yeah.
that's my only thought as far as weird mechanics go. But my feelings on this chapter is it's a great chapter. Little Tom Riddle is terrifying sounding.
Yes. Yes. And so, all right. How could there's a thing, there are a few things. So, um, ah, so the first memory, it serves mostly to discuss the locket and
Yes,
connect the locket to the previous chapter,
yes,
which is the same locket, right?
and the locket to Voldemort. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
it's the same locket.
Same locket. So, excellent timing on that, I think. Because otherwise, if he had shown that memory before, then whenever we came to that chapter, you would have immediately felt some way about it. So, what?
Weird. I just thought about a weird, funny thing. What if the locket is cursed with the spirit of Voldemort's mother because she was so wronged and like the fact that she didn't have any money led to her death?
So
Because it
the
wasn't
curse went
cursed when
on it
she
when
had
she
it.
sold it.
She didn't have the curse. It wasn't cursed when she had it, as far as we know, because she had it, she was holding it, they were holding it and everything. No one's sitting there screaming, dying. But later on, it's cursed. And she died not shortly after selling the locket.
Yeah.
And she was gratefully basically robbed. The woman that's like on the street, like, I'm pregnant, I have no money, this is the only thing I have worth anything, and she holds up like an OG Babe Ruth card, and someone's like, that's a decent baseball card, I guess I'll give you $5, and she's like, okay, and I go and turn around and sell it for $1 million. Yeah, I should be cursed, it should be cursed. And then she dies giving birth. Like, yeah, that's curse worthy, I feel. I don't know
Uh,
if that's canon, but that's canon. You know what I mean?
your story of ripping off a dying pregnant lady or a pregnant lady
Reminds you of
reminded
something
we
you did last year. No, no.
last night we were watching Bob's Burgers, and the
Love that
one with
show.
the equestricals, or the
Yep,
the the bronies, and
Equestrials.
the one that conned Tina out of her
Yeah, her
rare pony.
the two
was
butted whatever.
was like, okay. So yeah, that's the first memory. Then the next one is to really show a relationship between Dumbledore and Voldemort, and how Voldemort's demeanor was prior to even learning he was a wizard, and before even going to Hogwarts. So, like, few questions here. Well, one, Tom Riddle, I feel, definitely tried to use an Imperious charm or something similar on Dumbledore,
Oh yeah,
but then Dumbledore reversed it on him. So this little piece right here. So Tom Riddle says, "Are you a wizard too?" Dumbledore says, "Yes, I am." "Prove it," said Riddle at once, in the same commanding tone he had used when he had said, "Tell the truth."
yeah.
And Dumbledore raised his eyebrows. "If, as I take it, you are accepting your place at Hogwarts, of course I am. Then you will address me as Professor or Sir." Riddle's expression hardened for the most fleeting moment before he said, in an unrecognizably polite voice, "I'm sorry, sir. I meant, please, Professor, could you show me?" Like, does this not give off vibes of them exchanging Imperious charms?
I will say no. I will actually
Why?
disagree with you on this. I believe Riddle was trying to use it on Dumbledore. I don't believe Dumbledore would use an Imperious Charm just because it's one of the forbidden ones. I feel like Dumbledore would think it's beneath him to actually have to do it, just in general. You know what I mean? And it almost shows more because you by this point you already get who Riddle is. Riddle is this kid who's dark, who's all by himself, who tries to feels like he can control people, do stuff, doesn't really give respect to anyone already. Like he just thinks he's above. And this person immediately is like, okay, now I immediately disregard what you just tried to do to me, like it doesn't even matter. And that I just did that. I just completely just whatever what you tried to do. So I'm obviously stronger than you. Get that through your head, you little, you know. And then he was like, "Look, so you're doing this or not? Like, I'm not gonna BS with you right now." And he's like, "Yes, of course I am." It's like, "All right, well, in that case, you're gonna show me some respect. Do you understand?" And he's like, and he bites his own, like, just like, I don't want to. I'm chewing on my own pride because that's who I am. I am the best. I am better than you, and I have to choke on my own pride and say yes, sir, and show respect to you because right now you are my superior. Like I felt that's what that was. That was a battle of wills where he tried to will him with magic, and Dumbledore was like, "I don't even need that because I'm that being good." I don't know. That's how I felt it was
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
I really
I
don't.
can see
Also,
that. I can see that.
I don't see Dumbledore using Imperious Charm, especially on a kid, to because like in the flip side of that, if he did use an Imperious Charm on Voldemort, Voldemort wouldn't have any respect for Dumbledore. He wouldn't then have be like, he just used magic on me. I'm gonna get that guy back. But no, like if one thing is true, Voldemort respects Dumbledore. He might not like him, but he respects him.
And he fears him too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, so look, how could Dumbledore not see Riddle's penchant for malice and cruelty? So here's a series of questions that I came up. How could Dumbledore not see Riddle's penchant for malice and cruelty? Was he just too hopeful for a great and powerful wizard, or something else? I mean, he obviously sees it, right? But why does he continue to be like, I need him. I want him to come to Hogwarts so we can teach him.
Well, I think the he so this is what I got from it. Dumbledore sees two options. Option A, I leave him here. He obviously is learning how to do magic on his own. He is not afraid to test it on people and continue chewing. Like he just try. Like he obviously is learning. He's obviously already mastered a few spells and stuff without any. That's way better than Harry ever did. This guy's going to be a problem. Whether eventually he's going to learn about the magical world. Eventually, this guy's going to be a problem. Either he's just going to accidentally start killing people or something if I just leave him here. If I bring him with me, it might be a bit of just where you're at and who your environment over like nature versus nurture. Just might be an environmental thing, not necessarily that's bad, but it's bad for a kid like him. Maybe bringing him with me, having other kids around him that are like him will it's not so much that he's innately evil, it's that he feels trapped or misunderstood or maybe something like that. So maybe bringing him with me, some of that'll be curbed. Plus, I'll be able to keep an eye on him. Plus, if he does start to step out of line, he's already there and there's other people around him that can step in and either put him back into line or put him in Azkaban or something like that. Yeah.
That's
So,
bad.
like, that's the way I see it. Like, maybe he definitely isn't doing good, but maybe not all of it's just him. Maybe it's also just all the circumstances that he's in. So maybe bringing him with me, we can make that better. Like everyone deserves another chance. He's been given a horrible deal in life. Maybe we can, work together and show him the light and all this.
Yeah. That I
Yeah.
mean that
But
that, that
by the flip side, it even says, and I think it was the last chapter, chapter 20 or so, he never fully trusted. He always kept an eye out for him. Like he's like, it's like maybe it'll work, but at the
Right.
same time, it might not. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this little guy because.
Yeah.
And then it immediately became apparent, like, oh no, he is very smart and a sociopath.
Yes.
All right,
And his
love potion,
demeanor,
right?
so his demeanor is a lot like Anakin's, though. Anakin Skywalker.
Master, this is an outrage.
And then I also
No,
made a
you do
note.
not get. This council recognizes you as a great wizard, but no, you do not get the title of professor. This is an outrage.
Hey, that
Yeah,
happens.
if anyone's listening and they're good at making memes, I want to see the Anakin meme redone with Voldemort talking to. This is later. This is a later chapter, but I want that made. Where,
Yes.
yeah,
And then, of course, rolling in her writing here, she's trying to at least give us either a hint or a red herring that the that Riddle is the Half-Blood Prince.
yes,
So she wants our thoughts there. Um, before we move on to the next chapter, there are a few things I was going to say. So Voldemort concluded that his mother was not the witch. His father had to be the wizard because if his mother was a witch, she wouldn't have died.
yeah.
I was like, okay, that's interesting. Let's pay attention to uh so Tom Riddle liked to collect trophies. You saw the box of stolen articles he had hidden in his room. These were taken from victims of his bullying behavior, souvenirs, if you will, of particularly unpleasant bits of magic. Bear in mind this magpie-like tendency, for this particularly will be important later.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ominous.
Is he going to collect some things? Are they going to be deathly things? Uh, and then Harry noticed that the ring, that the Ogden's ring, that should totally be like a Diablo
Ogden ring.
a Diablo unique ring name, Ogden's ring.
Yeah.
It's missing. Harry, Dumbledore is no longer wearing it. So
That's not on the table anymore.
yeah, well, he wasn't wearing it either. Like he
Yeah.
was wearing it earlier in the book.
Yeah. He was wearing it earlier and then it was on the table.
All right, chapter 14, Felix
Sure.
Felicis, otherwise known as the luck potion. Yes? Or you got something else?
Yes. No, I'm good. I mean,
Okay.
I like that chapter a lot. It's one of those build up the world, tell us about. Yeah. I loved the only other thing I got is I loved the lady who took care of the orphanage. Like she downed like a bottle of gin while talking to him about how scary Tom is.
Yeah, she really did down that bottle of
And
gin.
then she just
And
like stood up
Harry,
like she was fine, and it's just like,
yeah, Harry
all
noted
right.
like, oh, she's was that actually gin she drank or was it just water in a
Yeah.
gin bottle? All right, so herbology gets heated as Ron completely misses that Hermione likes him, right?
Yep.
And so Quidditch. So Hermione looked flustered and immediately started fussing about for her copy of Flesh-Eating Trees of the World to find out the correct way to juice Snargaloff pods.
The
Uh,
Snargaloff pods.
we do also get what this might have been later. We get Harry's first feelings or first thoughts of like doing anything with Ginny, and it was his first thoughts of like wanting to kiss her.
Yeah,
So
we've had little things of him being like, when seeing like knowing she's with Dean.
mhm.
This is the first time it's really like,
He
uh,
envisions himself doing
yeah,
anything with her. So Quidditch practice was the absolute worst. So Katie Bell is out, so Dean Thomas took the spot as chaser. Ron then threatened Dean and Ginny for dating Ginny. Um, and then Ginny goes off on Ron
Yes,
saying,
she does.
"You are just jealous of Hermione. You're jealous of Harry. You're jealous of me because you are the only one that has not snogged anybody yet. All of us have snogged somebody, and you haven't, and that's why you're mad." And Ron's like, "How dare you? I could
I mean,
snog anybody I wanted if I."
no. I can if I want. I just don't want to.
I just don't want to yet. It's weird and nasty, and you don't
Like,
do it.
well,
That's why
we
I'm.
don't like kissing. It's sticky from like candy.
Harry's struggling with his new feelings for Jenny, and
Yes.
also for calm. He's struggling with calming Ron and Hermione down, like separately. Like, oh my
No.
God, kids, stop. Um, Ron is
All,
not having a good time with
no.
with um
Being,
Quidditch.
yeah.
Like his Quidditch
He
practices
is a
just keep
bad
getting
goalie.
worse. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And Harry's like, I got to come up with something. And so he's holding his bottle of Felix Felicis, which drinks in clear view of Hermione, and brings a pumpkin juice to Ron and says, "Drink this." And of course, Hermione comes over and says, "How dare you? You just put something in his drink." And he goes, "What? What are you talking about? No, I didn't put anything in his drink." At which Ron's like, "Oh, you did. You put the luck potion in. Hell yeah, I'm drinking this." And then has the best game of Quidditch ever.
Yeah.
And then he reveals at the end that he didn't actually put it in. Um, at
Quidditch
which
is
point,
such a dumb game. Just because the regular game never matters because it's like, oh, like one team is absolutely dominating. It's like, oh, they scored like 200, Gryffindor scored like 200 points, and Slytherin scored zero. But whoever finds a golden snitch wins. And it's like, then I wouldn't even have beaters. I would just have like four seekers, and all we would do is hunt down the thing.
well, no, no,
Like,
no. That's not how it works.
but what I'm saying is like the
Catching the
scoring.
snitch, catching the snitch ends the game.
I know, but it
It
also
doesn't
gives you a
ins.
point boost.
Yes, it
But
gives
it
you
gives you like
150 points.
so like if one team scores 14 points, which in a lot of the ones I'm reading, the points are lower, right? Because it's 10 points a score, right?
Right.
So one side scores 14 points, the other side scores zero. So one side is very offensively driven with, like one, two, three, four, five, six players doing that. And the other side is very defensively playing, and they're just like going, all of their effort. So that's 12 people's who effort means nothing if the other team just gets the goals.
True. But
Like if the point differential was closer, maybe even like it was 500 points at the end of the game, then it would be like, oh, the score is like 9-7. It's really close, But if it's like, okay, if we can get up to just 9-4, or if we can get up to 10-4, then it doesn't matter if they win. We just need to now go defense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's such just a
possibly.
I don't know. It's like the actual game sounds good. It's just the fact that the golden snitch is worth way too many points in comparison to the rest of the game. Heck, if it was even just worth, like, imagine, because like think about baseball, or
Well,
something.
look, Family Feud. Like
Mm-hmm.
you could be winning, like your team could have all the points, the other team can have zero, and then whenever the round where the points are tripled or whatever comes up, if the other team that had 0 points going into that round wins that round, they're going to the final.
Mm-mm. If that team wins, no one ever gets 100 points or all right. So they would have like 260 something. And if both teams are under 300, then it goes to sudden death. So, yes, the final team could just score one round while the other round scored two, but then they would have to go and do a sudden death against each other. You don't auto win just for that. Mm. I watched Family Feud a lot back in
Steve
the day.
Harvey's mustache wants to have a word.
I've talked to that. It seems like a nice mustache. Good. He would treat me right. I bet he treats it with, good beard stuff, like beard stuff you can get from my sponsor.
You think Steve Harvey uses mudcat whiskers in his
I think
mustache?
if he did, he'd probably like it.
We should maybe mudcat whiskers should send him some. Please use this. Check it out.
But then that's what he would talk about with all the guests.
Do you think that Steve Harvey would use the promo code paperweights to save himself money?
He seems like a smart guy. I think he would.
Possibly.
Yeah.
All right, so the last thing that happens at the end of this chapter is Hermione is sitting around. Casted she's cast a spell that has birds flying around her head
Well,
in a
something
circle.
happens a little before that with Ron.
Well,
Ron starts.
Ron is making out with Lavender Brown.
Mhm.
And so then Hermione goes and creates these let's see.
Summon Flock of Familiars. I know the spell. It's a level 2 spell.
Yes. And they're flying around her head. I'm trying to think of it because she goes into oh, by the way, Harry is sidestepping Romilda Vane.
Yeah. Who is trying to get everyone's trying to do love potions on him.
Which like I don't know at this point they haven't really stated that yet, have they?
Mm-hmm. Hermione gave him a fair warning saying, hey, I overheard a lot of ladies talking about trying to slip love potions in your stuff and how best to do it. That happens in this chapter. Because it happens
No, no,
before
no,
that.
no, no, no. It happens in chapter 15 is when Hermione tells him when they're in the they're discussing love potions in the library. And that's when she warns him. But before that, he sidesteps her. He says he darted forward, sidestepped Romilda Vane again, and pushed open the portrait of the fat lady. So like he's been sidestepping Romilda Vane. Um, but then let's see. So there isn't so the little flock of golden birds continue to twitter in circles. When did she cast this thing? Because oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. So after Harry sidestepped Romilda Vane and he went through the portrait into it's weird. He pushed open the portrait of the fat lady. The corridor outside seemed to be deserted. So he came out of the dormitory
Mm-hmm.
and was trying to find Hermione. He found her in the first unlocked classroom he tried. She was sitting on the teacher's desk alone, except for a small ring of twittering yellow birds circling her head, which she had clearly just conjured out of midair. Harry could not help admiring her spell work at a time like this. And then, so again, it's a constant thing where Rowling points out how amazing Hermione is at casting
Yeah.
spells. And then goes in, and Ron comes in laughing and pulls Lavender in, at which point she casts a Pugno, which sends the birds flying at Ron. And he's like, "Get her off me!" Like flying off the flock of seagulls.
Yeah, like that scene implies something. And that is that it is common practice for students to go out into the school late at night when they're feeling good with their other person to go into abandoned classrooms for reasons.
Really?
Like think about it. Ron and Lavender Brown just busted up in that classroom because it was the first of open classroom. So they're in a rush to find somewhere private. But like think about it. It implies that and no one's there like, oh my God, they just came in here. It sounded like, oh no, this just happens. This is like, oh, this isn't out of the normal that we would see a couple bust into an abandoned, run into an abandoned classroom together.
I see now. Yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
like, like there's a whole nother version of Hogwarts that they are not writing about, and that's good because we do not need the Euphoria version of Hogwarts.
We've always, well, not
It's
we.
it's
You and I
implied,
have been to parties
yeah,
at people's houses, and you find a girl you like, and y'all want to make out. Y'all go find a room, and y'all kiss.
yeah. I'm just saying though, like but they're also like disobeying the rules, going out into the school to abandon classrooms. That I'm just saying that school is full of skanks and shame. Loose men and women of low moral. No, it's just
Well,
funny. I
I
just found
mean,
it so
Rowling
funny.
actually wrote the word slut in this book.
Oh yeah.
When I came across it, I was like, wait, what? This was a this was a children's
It's
book.
a young adult's book now.
Yeah.
No,
All
but
right.
um, I have other comments about previous stuff in the chapter, but we could deep talk about this part if you want, because this part's awesome.
Oh, I was about to move on to chapter 15, so go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say one, go Ron. He just had an awesome day. He feels good. Girl comes on to him. He starts like just good for him. Like whatever. But earlier during the match, they had a player from that's a player for a chaser for Hufflepuff doing the commentating, and he was very one-sided anti-Gryffindor, very shaded in his
Was that
comments.
Zacharias Smith?
Yes, I was trying to find the name, and I was just like, that's an odd choice that you could just have other players for other teams do the commentating. But I guess like I felt like before it was trying to be as neutral as it could, but I guess this year they're trying something new. It works for ESPN. They get more ratings when people are one-sided and outlandish.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, Luna, we find out later on that Luna Lovegood replaced him.
Yep, she
So
did, and she was awesome.
sorry, I was looking up I couldn't remember what the actress of Lavender Brown looked like. And I was like,
No joke. I just did that. That is on my other monitor because I was like, which one does she look like again? And then I was like, oh yeah, let me just click because I didn't see the name and I just like double clicked on the name and I saw a spoiler for the end of book 7, which I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. So anyone out there that haven't, can I say it?
no, you cannot
Okay,
say it.
do not Google Lavender Brown because something happened that I did not remember in book 7 with her.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah, and I was just like,
So don't
what?
Google Lavender Brown.
Don't Google Lavender Brown. Don't do it. Don't do it. We just saved you. All right, chapter 15.
Yes, chapter 15, the unbreakable vow. So after after the whole ending with Lavender, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, Harry and Hermione go and they go into the library. Yes, is it? Are they in the library? So they're discussing
Yeah,
the
I think they're in the
they're
library.
discussing love potions and in the yeah discuss love potions in the library and then Romilda and she mentions that Romilda Vane is seems intent on trying to slip a love potion to Harry.
Yes.
Yes. Harry then asks Luna to Slug's party, and Hermione makes a scene in front of Ron about her going with McLagan. So McLagan,
McLagan.
McLagan. Yeah, she so Hermione decided to, you know, announced loudly where Ron could hear her that she was going to the party with McLagan. Then at the party, um, so before that, it was I laughed at this piece with Harry because he said there isn't anyone I want to invite, mumbled Harry, who was still trying not to think about Jenny any more than he could help, despite the fact that she kept cropping up in his dreams in ways that made him devoutly thankful that Ron could not perform legitimacy.
Like I said, there's a rated R version of this book somewhere out there that's straight up euphoria. And we're just like,
Excuse me. And then when
what do
Harry
you say to
actually
like clean up your sheets? Anyway, what's the spell? For
I don't
it's a joke. For
oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
When
Cut that.
Harry asks Luna, no, we'll leave it in there. We ain't cutting shit. She says she responded and says, "Oh no, I'd love to go with you as friends," said Luna, beaming as he had never seen her beam before. "Nobody's ever asked me to a party before. As a friend? Is that why you dyed your eyebrow for the party? Should I do mine too?"
She's
Because
all
they were
about it.
just
She's just a good soul.
yeah, she's like, "Wait, a friend? Nobody has asked me to do anything as a friend." It's like, sure, they asked me to do things, but not as a friend. Like you could easily, I could see somebody easily going, "Oh, she's being facetious and sarcastic here," but no, she's like
No,
legitimate.
no.
Nobody asked me to do anything as friends. Like this is cool.
I feel like if Luna ever did something sarcastic, it would feel weird.
Yeah, she seems genuine, just odd, but genuine.
Odd, genuine, but unafraid to be odd. Like, I don't know, yeah, I'll say something weird.
I no, I did. I think so. Justin doesn't think she's autistic. I think she might be a little bit autistic. He just thinks she's like a lunar child. Like,
Yeah, I go with that more. I don't think she's autistic. I think she's straight up just her, like her dad. Like,
now I
start
will
leaving this stuff.
say Colin Creevy, who's a year younger than Harry,
Then
he is autistic. You should
I don't
go
know
go
much.
back. So he first started in book two, obviously, because he would have
Yeah.
been year one in book two. But he would always come up to Harry and ask him for signatures and want to hang out with Harry and do all these
Oh,
things. But yeah, I seriously believe that he is autistic. Um, see, when was this? What?
nothing. I was just saying, got more to say about this chapter. A lot more to say.
Okay, yeah, we can say whenever whenever
Mhm.
Hermione after Hermione mentions that she's gonna go with McLagan, she's I highlighted this because I was like, what is this? She says, "Yes, I'm meeting Cormac at 8, and there was a noise like a plunger being withdrawn from a blocked
Yes.
sink and Ron surfaced." Hermione
Mhm.
acted as though she had not seen or heard anything. I was like, was this the stopping of Ron and Lavender kissing?
Yes. He like unsuctioned from her, which is the most cartoony thing she's ever wrote, but I'll give it up. Like, I was like, all right.
It's very cartoony.
Yeah. That's okay sometimes. Like, it's lighthearted.
Uh,
Yeah.
you have any bits
So
on this
honestly,
portion?
the part that we've talked about so far is no, like it's just more of the they're like each other but don't want to admit it games going on. It's I mean, it's entertaining to read. It's done well. the overall, as far as overall story for the grand story of Harry Potter, it's not much, nothing revolutionary, but it's good reading. Like it's done well.
Hmm. I agree.
So yeah,
So at the party, Hermione is dodging the hell out of McLaggen.
yeah,
Um, and all I gotta say is, McLaggen, you really should go read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Because rule number one on a first date, especially for any young people or older people, if you are single and trying to find somebody to become a item with and live your life with, um, make sure, especially on the first date, to make the conversation about the other person and
yeah.
not about you and your accomplishments. Um, they will
Here,
appreciate that and they will talk way more because people like to talk about themselves, but
yeah,
you as a person, you need to limit how much you talk about yourself and try to get other people to talk about themselves, at which point they will feel happy to be around you because they're able to talk about themselves around
yeah.
you.
It's a
Unless, both of y'all kind of figure that out and y'all are both trying to get the other person to talk, but then you might actually have a conversation.
yeah. Then you start having to go back and forth, but yeah.
um,
No, you tell me.
so
No, you say it first. No, you say it first. Are we already dating? I think so.
there's one character, I forget the exact positioning of it. Maybe it was at the party, but Warple. As I was reading, so a lot of characters in this book, I just read. A lot of characters on a lot of books, I just like read and I don't give them a voice.
Yeah.
Um,
Warple was the guy who wrote about living with the vampires, right?
yes.
And he
So
was
when I
there with
was,
a vampire.
he was, yes, he was there with a vampire. Um,
And this is my vampire friend.
I
Here's all these young people with fresh blood.
kind of snooty. I'm
Eldred.
Eldred Warple and his friend Sanguini,
Hmm. Sanguini.
which is like
That is
Italian
such
for
an
blood.
Italian vampire.
Yeah. Well,
That's an Italian vampire.
sanguine, isn't that like blood in
Yeah.
Italian? Yeah. So sanguini. Oh, you're
Sanguini.
not a vampire.
No, no, no. Like I was
But
like, oh my god, is Sanguini gonna end up being a vampire? And it's like Sanguini, the vampire. And I'm like, oh, never mind, he is a vampire. Like I thought that was gonna be like a, oh my god, is he? But it's like, no, no, he is. Just we're moving on. Just deal with it.
So you could bring vampires in here, but werewolves. No, werewolves
No.
can't be at the school, but vampires can. But yeah, his voice, I really like. It's kind of like I pictured it like kind of snooty and kind of a drawl, almost like just as modest as Horace the scribe, said Warple. But seriously, his manner changed. It became suddenly businesslike. I would be delighted to write it myself. People are craving to know more about you, dear boy. Craving. If you're prepared to grant me a few interviews, say in 4 or 5 hour sessions, why, we could have the book finished within months, and all with very little effort on your part, I assure you. Ask Sanguini here if it isn't quite. Sanguini, stay here! As he gets like distracted.
Well, no, it is Sanguini. Stay here, added Warple, suddenly stern, for the vampire had been edging toward the nearby group of girls, a rather hungry look in his eyes. Like that straight up, it's like Sanguini, down, down, boy, down. Like that's the
It,
moment where I was just like, because at first, like it was just the vampire just kind of like looked bored and like whatever, and I was like, okay, this is a vampire that can control itself, whatever, and he has lived, hundreds and hundreds of years, and this is just whatever, and I just droll, and I was like, okay, whatever, it's not much of a character, but then it's like, okay, starting to move towards it's like this guy's a this guy shouldn't be at the school,
no,
like.
no, no, he should definitely
No,
not be in
this
school.
isn't someone that can control himself. This is hmm.
After the party, or rather
During.
during the party, Trelawney, Slug, and Snape are all talking with Potter
Mm-hmm. And Luna.
and Luna, and they're talking. Doesn't he bring up Malfoy?
Well, Malfoy gets brought because he got in trouble got caught by Finch.
Yeah, Filch brings
Filch.
in Malfoy because he's trying to sneak into the
He got caught in the
part.
halls, and he said he was trying to sneak into the party.
Uh, yeah,
So he got
completely
caught roaming the walls. I mean, he got caught roaming the
roaming
halls,
the walls.
roaming the walls,
Is he
and
Spider-Man?
hmm,
Is he Spider-Man?
he is Spider-Man. I didn't know if you knew Malfoy was Spider-Man. That's a spoiler for book 7. He was Spider-Man all along. But he got caught roaming the halls, and when asked why, he said, "Well, I was trying to get to the party inconspicuously. I have a ticket, but I don't know where it's at." And then he's like, "Well, fine, I don't have a ticket. I was trying to crash." And it's like, it sounded like later on, it was like, "What were you doing, and why were you, you know?"
Yeah, I can't remember what. So I remember that, but prior to him being brought in, I can't remember what Trelawney, Slug, and Snape were talking.
Oh, I don't remember either. I don't think it was of
I
anything
guess
great.
I guess it doesn't. Yeah. Um. But anyway,
You were talking about his
one.
class. I know that at some point, Luna brought up a conspiracy theory that she started talking about.
Yeah, they're just talking about classes, the R's.
Yeah.
Uh,
Then the most amazing thing happened.
what?
Harry has magic pants. Because it says it was easy once out of the party to pull his invisibility cloak out of his pocket. So that invisibility cloak is big enough for 3 16-year-olds to hide under it. And he
But it
just
could
pulled
still
it out
fit
of
in
his
his
pocket.
pants.
That's a Taurus pocket. That is a magical pocket because that thing is the size of a king size blanket. Like, I just want to put that out there. Like,
Maybe he has pants of holding.
he has pants of holding. That is right.
There's an
That is,
extra dimensional pocket, and
mm,
we could go
that
so.
is, I am using that as a pickup line if I'm ever single in Hogwarts.
Hey, baby,
Like
my
if I am
pants
in the
have an
magical
extra
world,
dimensional pocket.
I'm gonna be like, hey, you like my pants? They're a pants of holding. Ah.
There's an extra dimensional pocket inside.
Extra dimensional pocket.
It's the only way that we could contain these. I think this is on par for the theme, the writing and the tone of this book.
Oh yes. Yes.
This is no longer a children's book. This is
Our
a
maturity level is the same as theirs.
yes, yes.
All right. Sorry for
So
sidetracking you with magic pants.
Snape takes Malfoy away, and so Harry ends up following him in the cloak, and then overhears their conversation about Malfoy doing the task. And we
Yes.
still have yet, the reader for sure has not heard what this task is.
Yeah.
And I am positive that Snape at this point still doesn't know what the task is.
No, Snape knows the task.
No, I don't think so.
No, because he says earlier when he's talking in chapter 2, I don't worry, you don't need to tell me. I already know. And I actually think he does know. I thought he knew all along, and I also
I don't
know.
think he knows. He was trying to get them.
No, he was trying to get how he was doing it. He just knows the end goal, but he's like, how are you going to get there? Like, you're being dumb. You're going to blow up the whole operation. What are you trying to do? Like, let's say the goal, we don't know the goal now, but it's something hypothetically that Malfoy was told to do, that Malfoy, like his mom's expecting him to fail. Snape thinks he's gonna fail. Like everyone thinks he's gonna fail. And Snape agreed upon death that if Malfoy failed in doing it, he would do it. Which I wouldn't agree on something on death that if I didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? Because like, what if Malfoy dies without me ever finding out? Then I'm bound to die. You know, like he had to know. That's my logic. But whatever it is, it's going to be. It sounds like it's going to be. It's going to be impactful. Like who knows? He might try to light the magical woods on fire or blow up Hogwarts or something like that. You know, and like it's like, how are you doing this? I'm not telling you. You should tell me because my butt is on the line too, and you might destroy it for all of us. And he's like, screw you, man. I don't need you to tell. You know. So like, I don't know. That's how
Yeah,
I.
so he didn't swear. Oh, he definitely swore the unbreakable vow that he would protect Malfoy.
And
And
then when asked if you would do it, his hand squirmed but never let go, and then agreed to do it.
yes, I, yeah, I don't think he knows.
I think he does. I think he's more angry, thinking it's something big that Malfoy is going to mess up.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, I don't know if you're done explaining because there is something I want to talk about here.
Go ahead.
And it has to do with this and chapter 2, which I'm referencing again, but I already referenced. And that is this paragraph. And then the very end of the chapter. So 2 paragraphs. Like, what does it matter? Said Malfoy. Defense against the dark arts. It's all a joke, isn't it? Like any of us need protection against the dark arts. And Snape just like, it is an act that is crucial to success, Draco, said Snape. Where do you think I would have been all these years if I had not known how to act? Now listen to me. You are being blah, 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 blah. That right there is so chapter 2. I noticed it while re-listening to the episode. Chapter 2 wasn't about chapter 2 needed 2 things done in it. It needed the curse being the vow being done, like her Snape agreeing to the vow,
Mm-hmm.
which it did say in here. He signed it on, I think it mentioned it in here anyway. So this leads further credence that chapter 2 was written afterwards to further explain upon something to the reader. But it also needed to express that Snape was not good. And that's because, like, as you stated, and you've read the books, a lot more recent than me, and you were stating it earlier in previous podcasts, Snape has not gotten a lot of like book time, not nearly as much as like in the movies. And so they needed people to, for whatever reason, needed people to believe that Snape was bad. So they needed things like this, where he's like, don't question me. This is the most successful thing. Like, I think more things like that, rather than just sitting there and explaining why he's not, well, or why he's evil and why he's doing what he's doing, more things like that are more natural showing of a character's true state without sitting there and them just saying it. That's all I'm like. I feel like that's a better, like she had it written here and it's good. And I'm like, this is a good way to express this. More things like this would probably make it so you don't need chapter 2 at all. But I'm not going to go on the whole thing, but just that, like, I thought that was a very well expressed way. And if more thing, like, it was expressing, it was with chapter 2, it was certified, like I'm submitting the idea, but they
Mm-hmm.
could have worked, like chapter 2 could have been more something like that, or an argument between or something like that. I don't know.
No, I mean,
I
I agree with your comments on this portion in chapter 15.
yeah.
I still am okay with chapter 2, but I can also see chapter 2 being written after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah. I am this feels like certifies to me that chapter 2 was written after the fact, because you didn't need that necessarily after chapter 2, him restating kind of things. But the fact that it's here and it's done better than in chapter 2, I feel like this was written first. And then chapter 2 was where it gone back and like
I
filled
can
in.
agree. I agree.
All right, that's all I got on this chapter. Malfoy's definitely up to some stuff, and there ain't no question to it. And we all know that, as you said, the cycle's about to begin again. Harry's gonna heard something that Malfoy did after stalking him, and now he's gonna go and tell people, and they're gonna not believe him again, and he's gonna grumble about it while Ron and Hermione have drama, and then Dumbledore's gonna pull him to do some more stuff, and that's okay
Yeah.
because it's a fun ride.
Chapter 16, A Very Frosty Christmas. So Christmas is at the Burrow again. Ron and Harry are discussing what Harry heard, just like you said. Fred and George show up, and they're causing trouble with the jokes, their things. So Harry states, "Well, you can't break an unbreakable vow." It's like, duh. Harry's like, I figured that much out for myself. Harry moves on to telling Mr. Weasley. Oh, nice. My voice came through with Mr. Weasley really loud.
Weasley
It came back, it fed back through me. So
is an important man.
yes. He moves on to telling him what he overheard with Malfoy and Snape. Lupin joins in, and they both decide to defend Snape, stating that they trust Dumbledore and he trusts Snape. So it reminds me of kind of like the thing where, you know, if you go, like, let's say either working out, like lifting weights or jujitsu, right?
Mhm.
And you go and you have a teacher or a coach telling you to do something, and you go, no, that doesn't work. You're telling them, like, you're basically saying you don't trust them. They don't know what they're doing. And that's kind of what it felt like, that whole thing where they're telling him, we trust Snape because Dumbledore trusts Snape, and Dumbledore is telling us that Snape is trustworthy.
Yeah.
So, hey, so if you have a coach for something, you know,
Listen to him.
listen to the coach. Unless you really have a bad feeling about the coach, then don't blindly trust people. Go with your gut instincts as well, and things that strange gate, not strange radars.
Strange Dar. Your strange Dar goes off.
I
I'm a
wasn't trying.
strange Dar.
I wasn't trying to say strange gaydar. I don't know why my. Sorry.
All right, guys. It was fun before we were canceled, but I guess that's it. I hope you have a
Well,
good
I
rest of
mean,
your day. Thank you for
we are
listening so far.
discussing we are discussing Harry Potter. So- anyway, Lupin starts talking about how he's been spying on the werewolves for Dumbledore, and he brings up Fenrir Greyback, who who's the one that turned Lupin into a werewolf. So did you mentioned this last episode where you're like, why didn't um
Harry.
so did Harry mention Fenrir to
He did
Mr.
not.
Weasley
He,
last time?
no.
Okay, so if he mentions it this time, he heard Fenrir Greyback, right? From Malfoy at
Yeah.
Borgin Burks.
Yes.
And now Lupin brings up Fenrir Greyback
And explains that this
being,
dude's a sadist, basically.
why didn't Harry take this time to mention to Mr. Weasley, oh, Fenrir Greyback?
They
I
if
heard Malfoy mention that at Morgan and Burks. Mr. Weasley, remember when I told you about Malfoy meeting somebody at Morgan and Burke's? Well, he mentioned this badass dude. Like,
So they
he,
have to answer that next chapter. And that is Hermione when he's telling Hermione how Lupin was and what they were talking about. She was like, "Oh, oh my God, that's who Malfoy mentioned." And Harry's like, "Oh my God, I didn't even put that together." So it shows that that Harry's just forgetful.
he is very forgetful. I'm like
And
Harry. Am I Harry Potter? I forget a lot of things.
you might be Harry Potter. You
Yeah.
you are you a wizard?
I don't know. You're a
You're more of an
wizard.
artificer.
You know, in the movie, I think he says, "You're a wizard, Harry."
Yeah.
But in the book, he says, "Harry, you're a wizard." So in Empire Strikes Back, he doesn't
No,
say,
I am
"Luke,
your
I am
father.
your father."
He says, "No, I am your
No,
father."
I am your father. And Luke doesn't immediately go, "No." He goes, "No, that's impossible." He says more stuff before he goes, "No." But anyway,
What was it?
uh
It's like, "Luke, I'm your father." No. And they actually found me on Tatooine. No. And your aunt and uncle aren't really related to me. They're merely your step aunt and uncle, for your mother had me with just the force. No. And I built C3PO. Okay, now you're just making up stuff.
true.
Which is like, okay,
So
I'm not believing anything now.
so then Harry asks if Lupin and Mr. Weasley know who the Half-Blood Prince is. Ever heard of him? And they say that, well, not in response to this, because he tells them, it's like, "Hey, yeah, this book that I have, it says it's from the Half-Blood Prince, and it's got all these things in there, and then some jinxes that he may have created." At which point they say, "Well, jinxes go in and out of style, just like everything else, just like clothing, just like other trends." Um, so they were hinting that the prince didn't actually create any of them, and he actually brings up the Levicorpus jinx, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was very famous around there." It's like, "Yeah, uh, like James used it. My dad used it." And they're like, "Oh yeah, he did love to use that one sometimes, but James wasn't a half. He wasn't half blood. He was full blood. So it's not your dad."
And he never went through and like he never wanted to be called something like that. That's
Right.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I did forget that Ron. Oh no, I forgot that Harry told Mr. Weasley some information earlier, and that Mr. Weasley actually went and searched the Malfoy's
Mhm.
house. Um, so I did forget that. Mrs. Weasley's song, everybody hated it as it was playing loudly, and
Yeah.
everybody was waiting for it to be done.
Which is the only time I ever so far in the book is like, okay, Fleur is a bit much. Cause
Yes.
and in
Phlegm?
that
You mean
chapter,
phlegm?
Phlegm, yeah. Because she was not a very gracious guest, let's just say, during that psalm.
No. It's Ron is growing. So Ron gets a sweetheart necklace from Lavender. And he's like, "Oh God,
He's
like
gotta
I'm
wear it, man.
tired. I'm
You have
tired
to.
of her." uh, Harry gets Christmas maggots from Creature.
That goes back to my note earlier. If Preacher was allowed, would he stalk and kill Harry Potter? And I think the answer is yes. Like if he
Maybe.
wasn't tied to like if the legal process went down and he was actually Bellatrix's, and she's like, "Do you want to kill Harry Potter?" He's like, "Yes, let me do it." And that would be it. That'd be the end of the book. It'd be like the next chapter would be Preacher sneaking into Harry Potter's room and killing him in the middle of the night. Like just stabbing him. I don't even think he would use magic to do it. Like I really don't. I think he'd be that guy, just like with the dagger, just like ah. Mm,
We do know that creature loves him some Bellatrix Strange, though.
he does. Mhm. He doesn't need her permission, or he needed her permission to kill Harry, but not her help.
Yeah. Um, three more things I have on
Mhm.
this chapter. Um, and these holiday chapters are usually just for catching up information between characters.
Yeah,
So Percy and Scrimgeour. So Percy was missing for the majority of this Christmas gathering, and he shows up,
he's
and
always.
Mrs. Weasley is like, "Oh my God, Percy showed up!" But then Scrimgeour, excuse me, the minister shows up with him, and they quickly get to the reason why they're there, which is not to mend the family relationship, but to get Harry. Um, they walk the gardens with Harry, and the minister's like, Harry, why don't you make yourself be seen coming to and from the ministry and everything, and it'll make you seem, or make the ministry seem that you're supporting their efforts. Oh, and by the way, what's Dumbledore up to? And Harry's like, no, I'm not doing any of that for you. I don't
Yeah,
I don't agree with that. And Scrimgeour makes a comment about, oh, Mrs. Umbridge was correct about you on this matter. Is she still working for the ministry?
I don't know.
And if so,
I,
how?
I feel like she was killed by the centaurs, but
I thought she was too, but Harry is even questioning it.
yeah, but
Like,
it doesn't say whether or not she is. Just that
yeah,
now was no. I guess it doesn't matter. I
I'm trying to find that bit. I wanted to talk about that. There's one last thing. While I'm trying to find this, or if you want to find it. Oh, here we go. So, if you want to be seen popping in and out of ministry from time to time, for instance, that would give the right impression. And of course, while you were there, you would have ample opportunity to speak with Gawain Robards, my successor as head of the Order office. Dolores Umbridge has told me that you cherish an ambition to become an Auror. Well, that could be arranged very easily. Harry felt anger bubbling in the pit of his stomach. So Dolores Umbridge was still at the ministry, was she?
It
And
doesn't
like,
say whether or not she was. Just maybe.
yeah, well, he's questioning it. But the way that Scrimgeour said,
Yeah,
she has told me, not she told me, she
yeah,
has told me. Um, I'm not even going to get into like
yeah.
the
It does kind of
English,
imply. It does kind of
the
imply that
English
it
terms.
was a more recent conversation.
Is it like perfect future tense or whatever?
I
I
can get
don't
my
know the
mom on the
exact.
phone. She'll tell me.
Probably your sister too, or maybe Caleb. No, Caleb, no,
Caleb's a number guy like us.
no. He plays it off well. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, talk here was about Tonks. So I think Lupin. Let's see, Mrs. Weasley. He was, however, reminded of a question he had with regard to Tonks, and who better to ask than Lupin, the man who knew about Patronus. So, uh, Tonks's Patronus has changed its form, he told him. Snape said so anyway. I didn't know that could happen. Why would your Patronus change? And Lupin took his time chewing his turkey and swallowing before saying slowly, sometimes a great shock, an emotional upheaval. So obviously he's Lupin's trying to refer to uh Black's death
Yeah.
is the reason why Tonks' Patronus has changed. I don't remember seeing a description, but Harry then goes on to say it looked big and it had four legs. But then he was cut off because he's like, hey, it couldn't be. Is it supposed to be
It's
Padfoot?
supposed to be. It's supposed to be the form of Padfoot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the implication, I guess, at least.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
All right, anything else in this chapter?
No, not really. Like, only thing is the new guy, Segur. I can never pronounce
Scrimgeour?
it. Scrimgeour. I am very bad at pronouncing names, people. I'll read it and I'll kind of weird pronounce it in my head. And that's just what it is when I read it. So whenever I say it out loud, it's just bad. I am the worst whenever I play Pandemic. Every single city gets a word. Like I'll even start reading like New York wrong just because I start reading all the words wrong on accident. Anyway, I digress. Um, he does have a point, and it's true that like society works better when it's calm. And it's calmer whenever they think that the people in charge, whatever kind of government system they have where people are in charge, whatever system is in charge is actually handling a situation. If they have someone who is the people's champion, if that person is at odds with the government, then the people will not be as calm, not as, like the unrest will go up. Harry is right in the fact that they do have Stan Turnpike,
Shunpipe?
Pipe, yeah, in custody, and he needs to be released. But Scrimgeour is right that it would do good for the Wizarding Society if Harry helped keep the situation calmer. And he could do this. And I believe like I mean, I'm like Harry did fine. Harry was like, no, and blah blah blah. And he has his own reasons, which is true. But Scrimgeour wasn't the guy running it whenever they were denying Harry and torturing him and stuff. That wasn't Scrimgeour. That's not what Scrimgeour had nothing to do with that. He was in charge of the Oars, and the Oars weren't part of that. They were fighting dark wizards. So Harry could have seen this as a chance to maybe create a bridge of trust and say something like, okay, I'm going to help you. But in response to me helping you, I need you to. And he said something he's like, I'm not going to help you as long as you blah, blah, blah. But he's already coming at it from a hostile point of view. Like, he does bring up Stan and he's like, how could I help an organization or a government that's doing this? Like, he brings it up. But he could have played it off also as like, they could have came to a better understanding with each other. I think both of them are very hard-headed people and they have their own reasoning and what happened and it makes sense. It's not like it's bad. I think it's bad writing or anything. But I could see they could have helped each other, I guess. And that's kind of a sad thing that they didn't get there. That's all.
Yeah, I see that. I agree.
That's all I got.
All right, Sluggish Memory.
Sluggish
Chapter
memory.
17, more lore. So we go back to Hogwarts, which Harry then catches Hermione up, and she still doesn't believe that Malfoy is working for Voldemort.
And she does explain to him remind Harry that he heard the name back before.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned that. I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it says Harry asks Hermione, or he says, have you ever heard of this Fenrir Greyback? Yes, I have, said Hermione, sounding startled. And so have you, Harry. When in the mystery of magic? You know full well I never listened to. No, not history of magic. Malfoy threatened Borgin with him, said Hermione, back in Nocturne Alley. Don't you remember? And Harry's like, oh, I forgot. But this proves blah, 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 blah. Which at that point I feel like, hey, you should write that on an owl and send that off.
Yeah.
That's information.
Was that at the beginning of the chapter?
Yeah, that's at the beginning of the chapter.
I couldn't find it. Anyway, the new password is abstinence.
Abstinence. Well, I mean, after all those kids go running around to those empty classrooms, that's how you make more students.
Maturity level in this book is really high. The year sixes are now eligible for a 12-week apparition course, and everybody is excited. Harry tells, let's see, even though Harry tells Dumbledore of Snape and Malfoy. Dumbledore thanks him and tells him there's nothing to worry about and that he trusts Snape. That is very interesting. You know, he's like, thank you for telling me this, Harry, but you have nothing to worry about. Like, I trust Snape. But it's like he doesn't know, he didn't know that this was happening. But at the same point, he's like, thank you for telling me this, but I trust him still.
Well, he also has in here like straight up like after he tells him, and then Harry starts. He's like, thank you, I'm good. Harry starts to argue with him, and it seems that Dumbledore puts on an air of um not importance, but when someone's like a higher rank than you know what I mean, like of superiorship, where he's just like, yes, Harry, blessed with an extraordinary brain power, I understand everything you told me, which is like, that's pretty dang snarky coming from Dumbledore, you know? Yes, I'm blessed. I'm blessed with a big brain. I, of course, understand the words. And he's like, um, I think you might even consider the possibility that I understand them more than you did. And again, I'm glad that you have confided in me, but let me reassure you that you have not told me anything that causes me disquiet. It's like, look, I understand what you tell me, and you know what? Think about this. I'm really smart, and you know this, and I know it. I might even understand it way better than you and see stuff you don't know. And look, I ain't phased by it. Obviously, you have told me nothing, so don't lecture me on how important it is. Like he kind of like went off on Harry a little. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just like, dang, Dumbledore. Dumbledore was like sick of this. He's like, stop ratting on me about this. Oh my god.
I can see that.
That's what I got. But well,
So before we jump into the first memory, or into this memory, Dumbledore's telling Harry of Tom Riddle's days at Hogwarts prior to going into the Pensieve, and how he searched for his father's name in the Hogwarts records. So it's like, he'd go through the trophies, he'd go through a lot of things. It's like, surely Riddle is in here somewhere. And once he didn't find it, he goes, okay, it obviously wasn't Riddle, then it was my mother.
yeah.
And then we get to there are two memories in this one.
There are two memories. Yeah. I think
The,
there's two in this one and two in the next one. Because there's one
yeah,
of them short. Like
yeah.
they're
The the
they're
the
short.
first the yeah. Some of them are really short.
Yeah.
Most of them are going to be really short. But the first memory was Morphin's memory, where Voldemort visited him and found out about Riddle the neighbor. So he went to Morphin because he's like, "Oh, this is Marvolo. This is my mother's side, so I'm go visit." And just in conversation, Morphin mentions Riddle or Tom Riddle, the neighbor. He's like, Tom Riddle? Is that my dad? And so then he comes back and not Harry, Dumbledore's like, yeah, that was probably the last time that Tom Riddle was alive. And Morphin went to jail for it. Like Morphin
Yeah.
gave detailed information about the murder that was like, okay, he did it, but I don't believe he did it. Dumbledore doesn't believe he did it,
Yeah.
obviously. Then the
Dumbledore even tried to
second
get them
memory,
off.
yeah, the second memory belongs to Slughorn, and it's in one of his classes, and so there's Death Eaters like in the class. Like they name some of the
People who are
Hor-
future.
yeah, future Death Eaters, and Voldemort asks about Horcruxes. And so some of this memory has been altered. So the fog, and we see it because there's fog. There's a mist that came about in the memory, and an unnaturally loud voice came over. So the first time it was, "You'll go wrong, boy, mark my words." And then the second time this happened, it said, "I don't know anything about Horcruxes, and I wouldn't tell you if I did. Now get out of here at once and don't let me catch you mentioning them again. So like Harry's like, what just happened? Like
Yeah.
that wasn't natural. And of course, when he comes out, Dumbledore's like, oh, by the way, Slughorn altered these memories.
Yeah.
And I would love for you to go ask Slughorn what
Why?
he knows about Horcruxes. And I mean, it's obvious why he altered the memory. It's because he's ashamed that he probably gave this information to Voldemort, and Voldemort used it for evil. I don't want to feel good. I want to feel evil.
Evil. Ah! Yeah. Sorry, I went no, SpongeBob. Evil. No. Yeah, like
Just remember, whenever you sit on a toilet, you connect your butthole to a larger network of connected buttholes. Until we meet again.
Well, thank you for that spread of evil. The spread of evil. All right. So this is another lore chapter, another memory chapter. I love it. Um, the stuff with what's his name? Like I just had it, not Horcruxes, but uh, Morphin.
Morphin?
Man, it's so visual in my head and so visceral. I just love it. Like and it's a sign of Voldemort, you know. It's like, hey, this is a big sign. You know, this is a change. Like Voldemort found out he's from Slytherin. He has a pride in who he is, which he's never had before. He is something special, which is something he's always wanted to be. And he now goes and visits someone. He finds out who his dad is, and this is horrible person where he's like, okay, I'm gonna end that right now, you know, screw that guy. And he also sees the ring, and it's a trophy. And he already said that he collects trophies. So it's just kind of like, is this the first thing he's collecting? You know, what else is he going to collect? And what other means will he go to collect it?
He
You
definitely
know,
displays serial killer behavior.
yeah. And he's smart about it too, and he's obviously just like miles and miles ahead of everyone else talented to
Right.
kind of just pull this off. So
Yeah, I really get like it's almost like a Shrek swamp style setting at the Marvolo house.
I have more like of an abandoned building in the woods, kind of like a horror movie cabin.
It's more of a
But
swampy place though.
I don't know. It's in our head.
A
You could be in your
bog.
swamp and I could be in my.
No, you are wrong.
That's fine.
You're
I'll be
100%
wrong.
wrong. No,
Okay,
just
I'm
kidding.
wrong. That's still what I see. Oh, I don't mind being wrong. I'm wrong every day. No, but like it's just a good. And I get states later on because it's in chapter, I want to say it's chapter 20, where they do the other memories, where he's like, the first time he killed for revenge. And it's like, yeah, he definitely did kill for revenge, but he also did take a trophy. That's the starting of like the serial killer vibe. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but if Voldemort took a trophy from everyone he killed, man, he must have like some just giant like storage units and stuff. Just with all kinds of crap. He's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this. Anyway.
Yeah.
The second memory, my second movie is the setup. You know, we're gonna see the true memory. There's
Yes.
something of it. Yes.
Yeah, I like the memories.
Oh yeah.
They're a way to because we see more information than we can have just by somebody just retelling the story.
Yeah. And they aren't jarring. They're not like, okay, we're just gonna randomly go to this other place, or we're just gonna sit there and tell you this story. It's like, no, there's a legit mechanic in place that allows this to happen that flows naturally. Like,
And Dumbledore even states how and when he got these memories.
yeah.
And maybe they are believable that these people would give them to him. Uh so and I was gonna say they were more reliable narrators until we get to the
Yeah.
Slughorn memory where it's like maybe it's not.
And it's kind of interesting that it's not. It's like,
Yeah,
I
but
love,
we
I love,
also know that Slughorn is like a badass
yeah.
as far
Yeah.
as
He's very
legitimacy and
talented
stuff. Yes.
and cautious. But yeah, it's interesting that Harry has homework and he's got to figure out a way to do this. I hope he gets. No, I'm not gonna say that. Anyway, I don't want to
He
spoil
kind
it
of
for
he,
you.
he kind of fails a little bit at it.
Yes, he
Uh,
does. That's all
so
right. That's all I
birthday
got for that.
surprises,
Birthday surprises.
chapter 18. We're moving along pretty well. So Harry catches up back to the cycle, catches Ron and Hermione up
Hmm.
on the private lesson.
Next thing you know, Malfoy's gonna be up to something.
Harry pisses Hermione off. I forgot why. I just wrote the note. I was hoping I
He's
would.
trying to tell Hermione to stop being angry at, and every time he keeps bringing up Ron to her. It's like, can't you just? And she's
Just
like,
ask
no.
him.
Right?
Oh,
No,
was he
he
like,
literally goes
why
like,
don't you just
Hermione,
go
can't
talk?
you? And she just says
Oh,
no, angrily storming away. Like it just keeps doing that.
uh, Juan. Lavender's Lavender comes
Bran,
up.
what's wrong with Wan?
I don't know, Cree.
Sorry, sorry. Bran, what's wrong with Wan?
Uh,
All
oh, oh yeah. So
right,
she was
I'm
talking
leaving
about
now.
Ron.
Bye.
She was talking about um she was kind of making fun of Ron and Lavender, or making fun of Lavender, and Ron's like, I'm tired of hearing this. Can you just stop with this shit? Which later on, um, I don't know if it's in this chapter, but Lavender, no, it is not in this chapter. It's in the next one where Lavender was asking uh Harry all these things about Ron, and he's like, well, why don't you go ask him yourself? We'll get to there. So during potions class, they are instructed to concoct an antidote of unknown mixture, and they have Galpalat's third law to go by, which we can always rely on Hermione to give us the information and explain what things are. Which
Don't
the
you
third
love a
law,
character that's just exposition? Also,
yes.
that's useful.
And so the third law states that the antidote for a blended poison will be equal to more than the sum of the antidotes for each of the separate components. Yes,
Mhm.
the sum of all things is greater than each individual piece.
Yeah,
Yes.
the what I gather from that is whatever potion it is, if you separate it into its base forms, it the solution will be of a greater mass than that, which if you separate them in the same forms, it's the same amount of mass. So the mass will be greater than just the poison itself. So I don't understand why you have to separate them to the individual things for that thing to work. Also, I don't see how that helps you find what is the antidote. It doesn't make sense to me, but at the same time, I'm not a wizard.
Yeah, I'm not a wizard either.
And it makes sense to Hermione.
So for Harry, the Prince's book isn't doing much.
No.
It's not helping him much. Hermione is mixing loads of stuff. I think
She
up to
makes 52.
53,
She makes
52.
52. Which I'm like I love playing cards. So I'm just like 52. I'm like, why did they do a deck of cards size? Like that just bothered me that it was 52. It was too clean. Like that's a clean number. That's a reason. I just didn't like it. And
Yeah.
it should have been 53 or 51. But 52 is like putting something at an even 50. It's like, No, that's weird.
Then, so there's a note. It says, just shove a Bezoar down their throats. And he recalls that Snape had mentioned that in their first ever potions lesson,
Mhm.
but he doesn't go on to try to connect anything. Uh, but a Bezoar is a stone that's taken from the stomach of a goat, which will protect from most poisons. So he turns this Bezoar stone in at the end of the class as his antidote. And afterwards, because he won this thing, he decides to try and ask Slughorn, what a Horcrux is. And then he's kind of tells him, like, don't ever ask me about that again. I'm not going to tell you. And then he goes off with Hermione into the library, and Hermione actually only finds it in one library book. And it basically says, it's so evil, we're not going to talk about it here. She's like, well, why even mention it then? But she has a point.
So I got two things before we just on all this, so we're not going to go back to it. Two things. One, um, the Bezoar. It is found in the goat of a stomach. I mean, it's found in the stomach of a goat.
The goat of his stomach.
The goat of a stomach. The best stomach ever. No, it is found in the stomach of a goat. But it also says that it's like this very rare thing. And I'm like, there's a million goats. What do you mean it's a rare thing? Like that seems that to me would be it cures most poisons and at least helps with even those that it doesn't cure. And as we see later on, and it's found in a goat. Like I'm like, this should be stocked everywhere. Like there should be 50 in the cafeteria just in case someone accidentally poisons the food. They could save all the kids. Like this should be a very common, easy to find item. Like it should be known to everybody. Like you should all even have one on you just in case. It's like, like my mom makes me carry this around like an EpiPen, you know? Like because it sounds like an EpiPen that nature makes constantly. Like, hey love. Slam. Slam. Come on. Sorry, my wife's taking the dogs out for me because she's awesome. Um, yeah, that's. Oh, and it's the only other thing I have is about Horcruxes, and that is that I'm surprised Harry didn't ask Dumbledore what that was, because Dumbledore knows, and I don't think knowing like because like Harry's gonna learn what it is pretty soon anyway. So, like at this point, if I was Dumbledore, I'd be like, I'm just gonna tell you because I don't feel like I need you to waste your time trying to figure out what this is. Like I need the memory, not you learning something. We're not here to learn what a Horcrux is. That's not what I'm trying to teach you. You and me are trying to learn about Voldemort. So that knowledge, let's just go ahead and share the knowledge, that knowledge, you know? But
I can
that's
see
neither
that.
here nor there. It's good for the reader to not know, you know?
True.
But sorry.
It,
All
it is a
right.
mystery.
Yes.
It's better for the storytelling, but it's worse for a story.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
a lot. It's illogical for a story, but it keeps you interested in the story.
If it was real life, it'd be like, shame on you. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
You just
Why would
wasted
you do
time.
that? Why? All right.
Mm.
So let's see. They get to the first apparition lessons in the Great Hall, and who other than Patches O'Houlihan do they get to come teach them how to apparate? And they get the 5 Ds of dodgeball: dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge.
You said dodge twice. It's the most important.
So the 3 Ds I didn't write down. So, but yeah, they
By the
oh
way,
wait, no.
that
Destination,
joke.
determination, deliberation.
Yes. That joke is a playoff of the OG producers where Zero Mostel is talking. He's like, "Oh, we'll have money and women and power and women." And you're just like, "Whoa." And he's like, "Dodge, dodge, dodge, dodge." It's just like, I was like, "Oh." Anyway,
And so splinching
yeah, that
happens.
sounded awful. That's where you
Yeah,
leave a
they
body
mentioned
part
it.
behind.
Yeah, they mentioned it before in one of the previous books. They
Do
talked
you
about splinching.
do you bleed while splinching?
I don't know.
I assume you do because your vessel's now in. You know what I mean? It's not like your vessels are now portaling into the rest of your, like if it cuts off at the knee, it's not like your blood vessels coming from your knee are portaling to the rest of your body. It's like no, they're just shooting out into the air, man.
Maybe it cauterizes them.
Why would it cauterize them? There's no heat involved.
You don't know. Maybe it's
They
a
never mentioned heat.
maybe there's a thermic reaction,
Maybe so.
and they don't have to
Maybe
mention
so.
everything.
I guess you could always say it's magic.
Yes, it is
It
magic.
magically cauterizes them. Deal with
Uh,
it.
during that class, like Harry positions himself behind Malfoy so he can hear Malfoy
We're
talking to
following the
Crabbe and
cycle.
Goyle. And so he's getting more information. He's spying. He actually mentions he says something behind
Hey, he
Malfoy.
messes with Malfoy at one point.
Yeah, he definitely does stuff to Malfoy,
Yeah,
which was funny. Oh, no, not there.
well,
Let's
right
see.
here, I got it. Yeah, it says, look, it's none of your business what I'm doing, Crab, you and Goyle just do as you're told and keep a lookout. I'd tell my friends what I was up to, like just giving him advice.
Yeah, it's like I
Messing with
tell
him.
my friends what I'm up to if I want them to look out for me. Harry
Like
said,
Harry's
just
a bit
not
of a
enough
prat
for Malfoy.
sometimes. Like he's a bit of a prat. Like let's face it.
Yeah.
And that is probably my biggest comment back to the Christmas chapter is ever since I've read it, for some reason, I have called a lot of people prats. And it's just in that one chapter. They just call Percy a prat over and over again. And I've just been saying it. I've been like, he's such a prat.
Yeah, I've been using, oh, they're having a row again.
Ah, well, I mean, it's that or watching Letterkenny.
Yeah, sure. So he brings up the Marauders map, which why did it take him this long?
Because he has
And
OP items, and if you broke them all out to begin with, it's too easy.
true, 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 true. But he notices that Malfoy keeps disappearing from it, and he's wondering where he goes because you can't apparate or disapparate off of grounds. We do know, however, that the fireplace in from the last book in Umbridge's old office, that one you could still use the flu network for.
I wanted to bring up something
Actually, actually, any of the fireplaces, because
for
even
Christmas.
in book three, what's his name? Sirius would come
Serious.
through. Um, or no, was it book? No, it was book five. It's still book five. Yeah, Sirius was using the fireplace in the common room, the Gryffindor common room,
He could speak through the flames, but he couldn't apparate. He couldn't appear there.
because it was being watched.
Um,
But they
yeah, they're kind of loose on
definitely,
those rules. They're kind of loose
yeah.
on that. Because like
So
in this
that
one,
would be a
they
way in and out. That would be a way in and out.
like in this one, they speak about how the flu networks were open on Christmas. Like people returning from Christmas, and that's how they all got back safely, which begs the question, like if Harry thinks that Malfoy and Snape are up to something, do they think that they apparated stuff in during Christmas? Because I mean, like he apparated into McGonagall's office, which then implies that each person's operating into the office of their
Oh, that's the Flu
house.
Network. That's different
Oh, sorry,
than
not
operating.
operating. Yeah, sorry, flu networking. But like, it still could be like, did Malfoy bring something with him? Because if him and Snape were working together, the only people in the room would be him and Snape. Snape would be like, "Hey, this is a chance to bring whatever dynamite or whatever you're gonna do."
True.
I don't know. It's just an interesting thing that was just the fact that she was just like, "Oh yeah, this happened. It's all cool." Just because she was like, "I just want to find a way for them to get back to school," but then it opens up so many doors for what people could have done that was never explored. That
Yeah.
just anyway.
And
So
then
he keeps disappearing from them.
yeah. And then the final thing we have here is it's Ron's birthday, and so Harry goes to dig in his trunk to find the Marauders map, and he tosses the box of chocolate cauldrons that uh Romilda had given him earlier
Yeah.
just on the floor. And Ron thought they were a birthday gift from Harry, so he ate a whole bunch of them, but they were spiked with the love potion. And so now all Ron can think of is Romilda. And he's like, oh, yeah, look, we're going to go visit Slughorn. He's going to introduce you to Romilda Vane. And he's like, oh, that sounds lovely.
That
Let's
sounds
go do that.
awesome.
And so he goes to get him the antidote, and he's like, oh, okay, well, look, here's mead. This mead will do. I think he said the mead will do it. He's like, but this was meant for
No, I was supposed to
or
give
no,
this to
no,
Dumbledore.
I was supposed to give this to Dumbledore. No, no. So Slug gives him the antidote, and then
Yes.
they're drinking this mead to celebrate or whatever. He's like, hey, yeah, I was supposed to give this to Dumbledore, but if he doesn't know about it, what does it hurt?
Yeah. I'm supposed to give it
And
to
so
him for Christmas. So
serve all this to the kids. Ron is the first to drink it,
yeah.
and it's poisoned.
That's
It
what it
was
gets for giving alcohol to underage kids.
right. Well, they're 17. I think in
Ah,
the wizarding world they can drink now
oh well.
because he just turned 17, right? And so then Harry quickly thinks and sees that there's a Bezoar stone in this room with Slug and shoves it down Harry's throat.
Yeah. So it's
Saving,
now
basically
Ron's throat.
saving him.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Harry shoves it down Ron's throat. God, names are hard.
Yes, they are. So like this one, it's like that. Like it's a fun little ride. And it kind of gives a little, I wouldn't say it gives more character, but it gives more, that's two kids going through, or that's two 16-year-old boys going through a funny little incident. Of like, he just punched him in the ear. Oh my God, I almost kind of just want him to let him hit this train wreck. But no, I should help him. Hey, she's waiting for you at this guy's place. Yeah, let's go. Oh my God, please let him be there. Please let him be there. We need to save him. And then it ends with a twist of, oh my God, he's actually poisoned. Oh crap, this is serious. That's
Yeah,
just well done. Like fun, good stuff that the overall only thing that really comes out of that as far as the story, like if you were writing each chapter, what important happened in the chapter, that is a there was a bottle that was poisoned that was meant for Dumbledore. That's
yeah, I agree.
that's the sentence you get out of this chapter.
Definitely.
But overall, it was still a fun chapter. Lots of fun stuff.
I really enjoyed it. It's fun. It's
Oh yeah.
lots of fun.
All right.
I have to hit the restroom again.
Oh my God. Well, then I will talk. Let me tell you. I don't know. You know what? If anyone's actually listening to this, I could tell you something kind of interesting. So the one-off that I did with Brandon, the pirate one-off, I ran that at the con I went to like right afterwards. And so They got to the port city and they followed the captain and they listened to the captain and they rolled really well to hear that he was going to do something with the admiral's wife and run away and all this stuff. So when they make it back to the boat, I'm hoping they go off to the bar to meet Randy, this, louder than life character. But instead, they're like, we go back to the warehouse where we heard the meeting. And I'm like, okay, this will take a few minutes. They'll get there. I'll let them roll a perception check. They'll find a little bit of gold. They'll move on because there's nothing else there. So they get there and they roll, and two of the people roll nat 20s. And I'm like, I can't just give them just a little bit of gold. So I said, in the crate, in one of these crates that for, and it's marked, for Admiral Adam, they find at the bottom of it, hidden in a secret panel, a giant stash of, well, very valuable goods for illicit goods for Adam that Adam is selling. So they go full Breaking Bad style then. They spend almost the rest of the session trying to sell these goods, offload these goods, find people manufacture more, all this other stuff. Then they end up fighting Randy at some point. Then using Randy's body after they beat him to make it look like Randy was the one stealing all the stuff from Adam, turned in Randy's dead body to Adam at the end of the mission to get even a higher reward, plus all the rewards they got from all selling all the stuff. And I was just like, yes, just congratulations, guys. Y'all did it. You did it. So it was a good session. That's why I love that one off. All right, Brandon's back. I was
Randy.
I was telling them what happened at the
Yeah, I
Oh,
heard.
you heard everything?
Yeah,
Yeah.
two
It was a
people
good, it
rolled
was a
natural
good
20s.
Yeah, that's why I love running at the cons because you just get some, and that's why I love that one off is because sometimes people play it straight, but sometimes people just go off the rails on that one. And it's just fun. All right, back to
Chapter 19, Elf Tales.
yes.
So this one starts off with everybody visiting Ron in the hospital
Mhm.
hospital wing. It's funny, my notes, whenever typing on the Kindle, there's like a delay and it doesn't autocorrect anything. So a lot of times letters get missed and things. So I read it as visit Ron in the hospitaling instead of hospital wing. Um, so the drinks Slug served was poison. We discussed that. They speculate that Slug, so they speculate either Slug being a Death Eater or trying to be killed by one. So like there's like, well, is he a Death Eater? Is he trying to kill Dumbledore? Or are they trying to, or the Death Eaters trying to kill him? Because
Yeah.
he had been previously been trying to Voldemort had tried to recruit Slughorn previously.
Yes.
Voldemort, we find out in this chat, in the next chapter, we find out Voldemort had a really good relationship, a close relationship with Slughorn when he was at Hogwarts. So Slughorn is old as fuck too.
Yes.
Excuse the F bomb. But
How dare you? How dare you?
I think we discovered that
My sweet ears.
I think we discovered that
My tooth
Dumbledore
is-
is like 120, 130.
Yeah.
So I think Slughorn is probably 90 to 100.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, he's good for his age. Huh? Good for him.
Yeah. Let's see. Fred and George uh mentioned that they were thinking of buying Zonkos and turning it into a Hogsmeade branch of Wizard, their joke shop. See, Hagrid is walks Harry and Hermione. So once they get out of the wing, um, oh, while they're in there, Lavender. This is where Lavender was asking about Ron's, asking Harry about Ron's emotions and insensitivities. He's like, look, why not? Harry says, look, why don't you talk to Ron about all this? After a particularly long interrogation from Lavender that took in everything from precisely what Ron had said about her new dress robes to whether or not Harry thought that Ron considered his relationship with Lavender to be serious. Harry's like, God, look, I don't want, and I get this from both sides, because there were times in high school where I was like, I think this person likes me, but I can't really tell. So I'd go to a friend and be like, can you find out this? Like, I think a whole lot of people do this. I'm
I
not
would
the
say
only
though,
person.
if you have been snogging this person for months, would you still be asking a friend? Would you be like, I think she likes me?
Who
I'm not the
knows?
smartest here, but or she really hates herself.
Yeah.
All right.
Then, so Hagrid walks Harry and Hermione out of the hospital wing and mentions Aragog and overhearing Snape and Dumbledore arguing. So, like, Snape and Dumbledore are having a disagreement.
Yeah.
And Hagrid felt, I didn't, did I? No, I did not highlight any of that conversation, but Hagrid was like, yeah, I felt it awkward. So I just kind of walked
It,
past so they didn't see me. But it's bringing now a concern. So it continues from when when Dumbledore told Harry, he's like, thank you for telling me this, but everything is fine. And now we see, oh, was he just kind of passing Harry off? Be like, oh, yeah, thank you. I already know about this, but doesn't really know, and now is just having that argument with Snape. I assume you're looking it up.
I am.
Um, so we'll come if you find it, we'll come back. Let's see here.
It was just well, I just heard Snape saying Dumbledore took too much for granted, and maybe Snape didn't want to do it anymore. Do what? I don't know. Harry, it sounded like Snape was feeling a bit overworked, that's all. And Dumbledore told him flat out he agreed to do it. That was all there was to it. Pretty firm with him. And then he's saying something about making investigations into his house. Like, so like it was Snape, Dumbledore wanted Snape to do something that Snape didn't want to do. But he's like, you already agreed to do it. You have to do it.
Right.
So to me,
And
that doesn't sound too bad. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, they're fighting about something, but it's not like,
he
screw
had
you, I'm
already,
evil.
so I think the investigations in the house, Dumbledore had already asked all the heads of houses
Yeah.
to kind of investigate students and stuff for based on the locket and the mead.
Yeah.
Did he know about the mead yet?
No,
Okay, so
I don't think
definitely
so.
the locket, the locket. So then, yeah. So while Ron is out, um, sorry, while
Flagging.
Ron is in the hospital wing, he's every time Lavender keeps showing up, he pretends to be sleeping. And then later on, Harry
What?
comes to visit him and says, "Hey, can
Stop
you
doing
stop
this.
stop pretending to sleep and talk to your girlfriend?" He's like, "Okay." Hermione visits Ron. Oh, so Hermione actually starts to visit Ron. They they basically make up off screen. Like they think she shows up and they start being friends again after he almost dies.
Yeah.
McLagan is fills in for Ron during the
He's
Quidditch match,
awful.
and objectively, he's a better Quidditch player than Ron, but he's so
He's
worried about everybody else doing things better that he's a liability.
yeah.
And this is where Luna Lovegood is commentating on the game. Um,
She's not even paying attention to the score. She doesn't know the score.
no.
She's like, ah.
um, it, I didn't highlight any of her funny comments, but it was pretty interesting because a couple
Loser's
times,
Lurgy was the best one.
yeah,
Yeah, they were suffering from loser's allergy. And the commentator from the previous game where he was
Zachariah
talking
Smith.
smack, yeah, he can't do anything in this game. They are just destroying him. If this was baseball, he'd be getting hit every time up, like hardest throw hit, like not caring. They're like, yeah.
And
And if you
McGonagall,
and if you hit us, we're hitting another one in retaliation. So this you have to let us have this.
yeah, McGonagall keeps like coming in with extra comments
That's
after
like
Luna
this.
loved like, oh, Luna, how dare you? Like, no, it's this. And don't forget to comment on this.
Yeah.
uh,
Ron freaking loves Luna's thing.
so before this, though, before the Quidditch match, Harry runs into Malfoy, and Malfoy has two girls with him that don't seem to want to be with him. I found this very odd. Like, what? Why are they sticking with him? Did he? They,
If he
that,
bewitched them, they would be with him, but just be out of it, kind of a thing.
yeah, but
I
they
would
were
say
obviously like they were looking at one of them, kind of like smiled at Harry and almost wanted to ask him to be like, "Hey, don't let me go. Don't make me go there."
if I had to guess, their families are Death Eaters or have been threatened by Death Eaters to have to help Malfoy with whatever he's doing.
Okay,
So they're doing it because they kind of have to, but they really don't want to do it. That's my feeling.
and Harry's like, Malfoy is not going to this game. This would be a perfect time to
To figure
follow
out
him.
where he's going.
And he's
Yeah.
like, I gotta hurry up and finish this game. I gotta catch this quick in the game. But of course, the game ends with him getting hit with the bludger or
Hmm.
the quaffle or the beater. What, the
The
bludger?
beater, I think. The
No,
bludger. Yeah, the bludger.
the beaters are the ones that bat
That
the
hit the
bludger
bludgeon.
around.
The
Yeah.
bludgeon.
So he got knocked out, um, and then ends up in the hospital wing with Ron, right?
Yes.
So he wakes up in the hospital wing with Ron, and he's like, "Oh," and Ron's like, "Well, the next time if you want to just hang out with me, you don't have to get knocked out." And then they're talking. It's like, "How can I do this? I need somebody to tail Malfoy." And he's like, "I wonder if Creature will do it." And so he summons Creature, but Dobby comes with Creature, and
Because
Dobby
they
and
are
Creature are
fighting.
fighting. The the Yeah, the graphic on chapter 19 is the two of them fighting. I did like the very frosty Christmas graphic because it was the garden gnome that was at the top of the tree that
Which
apparently
is
only
just torture. Like, what are the sentience of a garden gnome? Like, if they're decently sentient creatures, that's awful.
but Harry was
But
the only one that noticed that it was a garden gnome.
yeah.
So Dobby is like, "Oh, Harry Potter, Dobby will do anything for Harry Potter just because Harry wants him to, and not because he has to." And then he's like, "Oh, well, maybe I can have both of them." And Creature's like, "I'm only doing this because you're telling me to." And
Yeah.
Dobby's like, "Well, I'm better than Creature because I want to do it, even though I don't have to. I want to do it." And that's I think. I was gonna say Malfoy is acting like when he walks by with the two girls, like he's not happy. He's acting like he's on a bender, strung out and not wanting to face life. It's like it's almost a PTSD, but pre-trauma. Like
Yeah.
he has this pre-trauma going on. And then the last thing, loser's liturgy. I did love that one. Um, the last thing I wanted to say was Ron states, Ginny came in to visit while you were unconscious, he said after a long pause, and Harry's imagination zoomed into overdrive, rapidly constructing a scene in which Ginny weeping over his lifeless form, confessed her feelings of deep attraction to him while Ron gave them his blessing. She reckons you only just arrived on time for the match. How come? You left here early enough. But yeah.
So I will say, good pal, Harry. Like he doesn't want to have these feelings because it's his friend's sister, and he has these feelings, and in his fantasies, his friend's saying it's okay. So even in his fantasies, he needs his friend to be okay with it. And like, good pal. Good.
Yeah.
Stay away from my sister, Harry. All right. I got not more.
Would Lynette date Harry Potter?
No, he's too much of a jock.
Neville?
Maybe Neville, but she probably wouldn't date anyone from Gryffindor.
Luna Lovegood is a man.
Maybe.
I
No,
wonder
I
if
mean like, it
you
would be a Ravenclaw. It'd be either a Ravenclaw or a Hufflepuff. Like that's
Luna is a Luna's not a Gryffindor. She's what the heck was that?
don't know what that was. I, for some reason, thought she would.
She's a Ravenclaw.
Oh, well, about that. For some reason, I thought she was, but still, no.
No.
Maybe.
I wonder if your sister listens to this. I think she might have listened to the one on Project Hail Mary.
Okay, Lynette, if you were in high school in a magical world, and that's my sister, and you're listening to this, and you were in high school in the magical world, and you were single, would you date a male version of Luna Lovegood? Please let me know in the comments. I
Or
don't
in
want
a
you
text
messaging me
message.
personally. I don't want a text message. I want everyone to know, just yes or no. And don't anyone else out there fake to be here and just comments flooded with yes, I would. So when I talk to her about it, it's gonna be awkward. All right.
All right. Chapter 20, the final chapter. We
The
made
final chapter
it of this episode.
Yes, Voldemort's request.
Lord Voldemort's request. Who is oh, that's the witch Hepzibah that's in the thing, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so Harry and Ron get out of the hospital. Dean and Ginny have a row. And Harry's like, maybe he asks her, are they still dating? And she's like, yeah, I think they are. He's like, okay. Harry's next lesson at Harry's next lesson with Dumbledore. Dumbledore grills him about finding out about Horcruxes. Let's see. Oh, wait, no, before that lesson, as as they're as they're coming out of the hospital wing, uh who does it? Oh, Luna thrusts what appeared to be a green onion, a large spotted toadstool, and a considerable amount of what looked like cat litter into Ron's hands. What?
That's what she got in her pockets, man. Don't question it.
And just so she can get the parchment out and hand it to Harry that says, hey, here's the time for our next private lesson from Dumbledore. But why is Dumbledore using other students to tell Harry? Why can't he send an owl? Is Luna Lovegood an owl?
Maybe she is in another world.
Oh,
What was her Patronus? It was a rabbit.
so last episode, when you asked we asked Nora something, and she went, no. She gets that from you. Sometimes you go,
No.
no. It's like, they're just noticing the things that kids do that like, oh, one of the parents do. There's so many that Jules
Yeah.
does. So anyway, back to Harry Potter. Yeah, Dumbledore grills Harry about finding out about the Horcruxes because Harry's like, well, I asked him once and he told me he wouldn't tell me, and then I planned on asking him again, and Dumbledore's like, oh, and you thought this was sufficient enough effort here? And it's like, what the
Dumbledore laid
dude?
onto him again. He's like, dude, get your
It's like,
together. Like, put it. I don't care how you do it. Just get it all together. Like, bundle up, roll it up. I don't care. Fold it, put it in a bag. Whatever you do, just get it together and
and
ask
Harry
him.
Harry should have been like, dude, like you just tell me what a Horcrux is. Like, you know what it is. I'll try to work on why he altered the memory. Just you
Yeah.
tell me what a Horcrux is. Um, and before the memory, Dumbledore talks about Voldemort after he left Hogwarts. So after Voldemort graduated Hogwarts, he wanted to teach the Defense Against Dark Arts teacher. He was closest to Slughorn, and then so Dumbledore advised against letting him. And there was another. Dumbledore was not the headmaster at the time, but he advised the headmaster against hiring Voldemort. And so instead, Voldemort went to work at Borgin and Burke's, basically being a trinket collector for Borgin and Burke's.
And he was like top of his class, almost valedictorian sounding kind of like thing. And the fact that he was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go here and be a clerk, and eventually became like, a trinket finder. But I was like, what?
Yeah,
Because it
it
was
was
such
kind
a
of
letdown.
strange.
It's like if you're valedictorian from high school, right after you graduate, decides just to take a fryer job at McDonald's, you'd be like, why? Like, nothing against fryer jobs at McDonald's, it's fine, but like you would think the valedictorian would try to, get in college or do something. Like hypothetically, like if you work that hard at school, you probably want more school.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So the first memory is Hoki's memory, which shows Voldemort sitting, or sorry, visiting an old witch named Hepzibah, who showed him some collected items, one being a cup which belonged to Helga Hufflepuff, and she stated that she had, familial connections. So apparently she's of the line of Hufflepuff.
Hmm.
And then the Slytherin locket that belonged to his mother, which Borgin knew that she had because she had bought it from Borgin. So, like, it wasn't cursed at that time.
Yeah.
So we've now
So
seen a
my
memory.
theory is out of the window because she was
We,
already dead by that time.
yeah, the mother was
Voldemort's
dead
mom. Yeah.
because we saw a memory where Voldemort's mom, Merope, sold the locket to Borgin, right?
Yeah.
And then now Hepzibah had bought it off of Borgin. And so she had two of the founders'
Trinkets.
trinkets. And now, so she dies 2 days after the memory. And then Hoki was blamed for the murder, um, just like Morphin was blamed for Tom Riddle's murder.
Yeah.
And now we see he's collected, he's collecting trinkets. Like, I can think of another house trinket that's shown up in the books that I feel like he might go collect.
Yeah.
I really don't
There's a
remember
few.
what he collects at this point. I really don't remember details of this
Oh,
book and the next book. So
I remember. I remember the items that kind of connect collects.
yeah, I don't. So I am legitimately unknowingly suspecting he's going to collect something of Gryffindor's. Um
I
so
am keeping my mouth shut.
good. You do that. If you know it, don't
Don't spoil
um
it.
The next memory is the last memory we have is Dumbledore's memory, which is 10 years after Hoki's memory, and Voldemort returns to Hogwarts, at which point Dumbledore is the headmaster, and he returns to ask for the Hogwarts job again. Definitely doesn't expect Voldemort to, or sorry, Dumbledore to give it to him. And during this time, Dumbledore is like, "Oh, I already know that you have Death Eaters." And
Yeah,
it
it's
said
no, man. Like, you know what you're doing.
when he mentioned Death Eaters, Voldemort kind of went, "How do you know this word?"
Yeah.
And so, but I do like Voldemort's description when he returns here. So Voldemort had entered the room. His features were not those Harry had seen emerge from the Great Stone Cauldron almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, they were not as snake-like. The eyes were not yet scarlet, the face not yet mask-like, and yet he was no longer handsome Tom Riddle. It was as though his features had been burned and blurred. They were waxy and oddly distorted, and the whites of his eyes now had a permanently bloody look. Though the pupils were not yet the slits that Harry knew they would become, he was wearing a long black cloak, and his face was as pale as the snow glistening on his shoulders. So he's obviously started to transform himself into something other than just a human wizard.
Yeah. He's doing something. If only we knew what a Horcrux was.
Yeah.
No, it's like this chapter leaves the mystery of, and like Dumbledore even asks him straight up, he's like, what are you really here for? Because I know you're here. I know you got a few Death Eaters waiting for you back at the camp. I know you're not suspecting to just stay here. You know I'm not going to give you the job. Like, what we know, I know what kind of stuff you've been doing. Like the writing's there. What's happening? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
And it never really gets explained.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Although
Um,
Voldemort, again, we have a tie back to Star Wars because Voldemort is channeling his Yoda here. He says, Voldemort's expression remained impassive as he said, greatness inspires envy, envy engenders spite, spite spawns lies.
Spies is the gateway to the dark side of the Force.
Yes.
It's this is a fun chapter. This is out of all my memory chapters, the one like I like it, but I'm this one has just like a lot of information rather than just like here's some fun lore. But it's good. Like it's good stuff. Especially the first memory. Because you get a little idea of just, a little more of the world, the fact that other people are, kind of like I want to say collecting items, but the items from Hogwarts founders are treated as like, oh, look at this relic, like George Washington once signed this or something. Like, and that's cool. And you get an idea, obviously, he's killing again. And this time like, it was sitting there like Dumbledore, when he killed, like when the old lady dies, Dumbledore thinks this is the second time he's killed him. So he's starting to do a little bit of that serial killer because he kills again, and this time he's doing it for the trophies, not out of just anger. But yeah, just it's a good little chapter. I will say how it from what I've read of Harry Potter, from remember about Harry Potter, house elves don't disobey and kill their person. That's just
No.
something that's not done. So the fact that it was just like, oh well, she said she did it in great detail. They just said like I would be like, I could see them like racking, trying to figure out like almost like if we made like AI in the future and we set up like the ABS laws, three laws of robotics, and then one robot kills somebody and says, yes, I did it, and I explained why I killed it. They wouldn't just say, okay, we're decommissioning that robot. They would sit there and dissect the hell out of that robot's programming to figure out how. How did you get around to killing it? So that part, I'm like, I feel like if she was like, she had to have been one of the only house elves ever to kill somebody, right? Like kill their master. They definitely were probably like, okay, we're gonna sit here and just like pull all your memories, and probably like unless they did that, and Voldemort's just the absolute best at altering memories, and there was no telling even to the best, or the ministries people, that anything was tampered with.
Or it was this event that caused them to change the law of connection between a house elf and its master.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
And so the last little bit that I had in this chapter was, so at the end he says, Harry asked Dumbledore, said, "Why did Voldemort come back? Did you ever find out?" And Dumbledore says, "I have ideas, but no more than that." "What ideas, sir?" "I shall tell you, Harry, when you have retrieved that memory from Professor Slughorn." I'm like, what? Tell him this now. Stop sending him on, like, everybody's just sending Harry on errands and coming back, and he's getting things piecemeal where he could
He has
get like,
quest markers everywhere.
yeah, you can't have this until you have this, even though you don't need that to know this.
Yeah.
Like, what? No.
Yeah, it's something like, at that point, I feel like Dumbledore should at least told him what a Horcrux is. Like, this is what it is. I'm trying to figure out what Slughorn told Dumbledore about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, so much happened in that session.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's the bulk of the year. Cause like the next part, like it sounds, like the year's kind of coming somewhat to an end, like they're almost done with the apparition stuff. They're
Yeah.
already played 2 of the games that they gotta play. Quidditch. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing actually what happens, because at some point, just because the book's about to end, he can't just go, "I'm going to tell you later." He's going to have to tell us.
Yes.
So
And
I'm
I look
looking
forward to
forward to
that.
that.
I'm actually looking forward to reading the rest of the book and remembering what happened,
Yes.
because I only read the
And
books once and I don't remember that. And the
I
last
also
few
want to say a
movies
funny story about this, but I can only say it after we're done.
after we're done with the book.
Yeah, because it involves the very end of the book
Okay.
and a troll that did something bad.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, next week we will be wrapping up chapters 21 through 30 for the end of the Half-Blood Prince. Wow, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's how much is left.
Yeah. I
Like
can't believe we've
we're
read that much.
yeah, we killed a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So yes, next week join us, and yeah, go ahead and click like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. Support Mudcat Whiskers. Um, Supporting Mudcat Whiskers by buying stuff that, yeah, that costs money, but sharing everything, liking it, and everything, that
that
is
is
free.
free.
Yeah, and it gets
That
it
helps.
into the realm of people that enjoy this kind of stuff. People like Chris, me, Justin, you, the listener. Yeah, if you want more people to listen to it and discuss it, then do that thing.
No.
All right, Chris, I'll see you next week.
All right. I will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.